Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, July 12th, 2020. This is your award-winning Gibbo Nation Media Assassination episode 1259.
This is No Agenda.
Fully muzzled and broadcasting live from the mouth of the rat in the number one Rona hotspot in the nation. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we just missed an 8-car Zephyr right on time, and we're still trying to figure out what Joe Biden actually says. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Yay! Well, in the morning to you, John.
In the morning to you, and all in the morning, all ships to sea, boosts to the ground, feet in the air, subs to the water, all the days and nights out there.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that we're still stable at an 8-car Zephyr. This is good news. We do like hearing this. That's excellent. And I am in Florida.
What?
I'm in Florida.
And by the way, that was spelled W-U-T. What?
Very good. What? Yes, I'm in Florida.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I know why. It's Tina's birthday.
Yesterday was Tina's birthday. You're absolutely right.
Friends and family. Yeah.
No.
No.
Friends and family were supposed to come to us, but no one came. So I decided I would surprise her, and we hopped on a flight Friday morning and flew down here, and so she is able to see at least one of her friends for her birthday. But yeah, no one wanted to fly. Also, some of her family work in the medical field, so they have an actual legitimate reason to not necessarily want to come to Texas. So we decided, and by the way,
Texas is scaring people off.
Flying and traveling, the best deals ever right now.
Yeah, there's some $39 deals out here.
You get $39 deals. The airport is fantastic. It's like flying private almost. It is. Yeah, we took. Of course, Southwest is pretty much the only airline that you can kind of rely on right now, I guess. And they have no direct flights to Florida now, so we had to go to Dallas and then from Dallas to Florida. But there was a max 40 people on each flight, so it was fantastic. Nice. Yeah, of course. And this is a consistent theme: no service. There's no service anywhere. So we're in a hotel.
No peanuts.
No peanuts. We're in a hotel, and this is the worst. It's so bad. There's not a single glass. The room has, it's just plastic cups. There's nothing in the mini bar. You go down, you have breakfast. They bring it out in styrofoam trays. You've got disposable cutlery.
This will be living in Russia.
Room service comes in a brown paper bag. It's really, really disappointing how the service sector has to conduct itself just to have some people at all. Everywhere masks are 100% mandatory, including, and this is crazy, the gym. So Tina,
you don't really want to be wearing a mask at the gym.
She went down to the gym yesterday morning. Which she had to reserve. There was only one other person there.
Hold on. Before this question fades, the daily rates at the hotel, I assume, are lower?
Oh, my goodness. It's like, yes, considerably lower. And, of course, you get what you pay for at this point. But, yeah, it's
so now's the time to travel.
Now is the time to travel. Also, not only is the rate lower, not only do they give us $50 extra to spend on anything we want every day. There's the resort fee is waived, and it wasn't like some other benefit that we got. Oh yeah, fourth night free. It's fantastic.
Wow.
And I'm really happy. I'm happy that they're doing it. But this morning I wake up to the following news. 333 Florida testing labs, you can't make the number up, of course, today reported 100% positive tests in the state. So 333 of the testing labs in Florida, which did 3,528 tests by this, so that was, I guess, yesterday, 100% positive.
Oh,
is that even a probability, logistically
No.
speaking?
No.
So that would be 34% of today's reported 10,360 new cases. How can it be 100%? It just seems so
Flawed
unlikely.
tests. That's how it could happen.
Or
Bull crap.
Or
more bull crap.
what if we actually have that kind of spread? What if it's finally there where we have, oh goodness, herd immunity or something like that?
Well,
is it crazy to think this?
Well, it is crazy to think that unless it somehow hurts Trump, benefits Biden.
Yeah, Trump is here, or at least he was. I think Friday. I didn't even know that. We flew.
Are you in Mar-a-Lago?
No, we're in the Fort Lauderdale area. And I think he do a.
Where's Mar-a-Lago anyway? Is that in
Palm Beach? That's Palm Beach.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, that's mind-boggling to me. So I'm just going to say, sure, they're all accurate, I guess. Then we're in a whole different realm of.
It's nonsense.
Well, okay.
333 is a giveaway.
I can't help that.
100%.
But where we left Texas. We left Texas in shambles.
You left Texas. Get out of that hellhole.
We left Texas in shambles. Listen to what Austin was being subjected to on Friday.
We still need people to wear the mask in public. We still need people to keep social distance and isolation. But Ryan, the one thing I want to try to get across today is we need to do that when we're in our homes also. As you know, I'm a lifelong San Antonian, grew up there, worked there for many years, and I know how many multi-generational families that we have. And while we believe the community is doing a...
Who's that talking?
Oh, this is the guy. This is the DSHS official who keeps coming in. I should have set that up. Who keeps appearing in the Austin City Council meetings and saying, well, we've either got to do 100% masks or 35-day shutdown.
What's he doing in the Austin City Council meetings?
I'm sorry?
Does he live in Austin?
He's in Austin. I don't know if he lives in Austin, but it's all Zoom video, so I don't know where he comes in from. This interview,
San Antonio, because he's lifelong. He said
this interview. I think the background is Austin, so he may have been in Austin, but typically he's in San Antonio. But this is the guy. This is the guy who's in charge of it. But listen to what he has to say, because it's nuts.
Worked there for many years, and I know how many multi-generational families that we have. And while we believe the community is doing a great job of following the rules when they're outside of the home, we really need to be thinking about doing the same thing when we're inside the home. All of us are capable of catching this disease. None of us are immune from this.
Now listen to the rationalization, though. It's mind-boggling.
And the fact that we need to get across is, in order to protect ourselves, we need to protect our families and our loved ones. We really need to be thinking about the care that we're providing inside the home right now to make sure that we're not spreading this disease inside the home and then making it come outside the house.
So let me get this straight. What you're effectively saying is that people should be wearing masks inside their own homes now?
Ryan, I'm saying if you can't socially distance and can't socially isolate, or if you've been out in public and exposing yourself and you haven't decontaminated yourself good enough when you get home, if you have someone that has underlying medical conditions at home, we really need to be thinking about that. Now, if you're the same 2 or 3 people that are living in the same house and you're really taking care of yourself and you're following all the rules, then you probably don't need to wear a mask in your home.
Here's the thing that gets me. Now that the WHO has come out and themselves have said, well, it looks kind of like we have spread through the air, aerosol spread, which we here at the No Agenda Show have known for, when did we talk to the dog? 6 weeks ago? 5 weeks ago? A month?
It was too long to remember.
So this was exactly what we heard, and the best place to be is outside, not at home, and certainly not, we have 100
coming next.
We have 100 degree plus in Texas, where people immediately go inside. You got the air conditioner. There's all kinds of ways to get spread in that manner. But if you only open a window or turn on the ceiling fan, you'll be much better. And here's the thing that pisses me off the most: mask. Everywhere a mask. N95 masks are dangerous to my health. And I want everyone to understand that we've been told, well, first you needed to have the N95 mask or we were going to die. And this is 4 months ago. Everybody needed an N95 mask, which is a mask that filters in but has a valve and you blow out unfiltered air. You're not filtering anyone. You're not protecting anybody if you wear that. But that's not being said. We'd just be told to wear a mask. Wear a mask inside. Wear a mask when you're having sex. Report right here. Couples should wear face masks during sex, new study insists. I mean, what is going on? This has nothing to do with medical science at this point.
No, they're just they're screwing with us.
And so
what else we can get them to do?
Well, we got the reports of the. Well, actually, let's listen to the text.
Did you actually read a sex study that says you should have wear a mask? No.
Yes, I did. I read. No. Yes, I do. I read the studies. Absolutely, it's a
no. Is there a study? I thought you were just putting me on. You were just pulling a Matt Taibbi on me.
No, I'm not like you. There actually was a study where couples were encouraged to wear face masks during sex.
Oh, brother.
Now
Will they do that at the S&M clubs?
We're being led down a very dangerous path. I would like to now turn to the turncoat governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. I have no idea. Either he's being threatened or he is on a massive power grab, and I have misjudged this man from the beginning. Let's listen to his story about the rise in the testing and the deaths. And I would like to remind ourselves, in July, hospitalization deaths always increase. And the reason why they increase, crazy enough, is because this is when the new doctors come into the medical field. They leave school, they come into the hospitals, they're doing their first service as doctors.
We not only had a clip about it, we also had a cartoon about it.
We had that's right. We had animated No Agenda about it. Yes, exactly. So this is a fact, and that is, if you look at the numbers, it's a slight increase. It could be exactly this, but let's listen to the governor of the great state of Texas.
Governor, we have seen the deadliest week in Texas since this all started, and we just hit a new high for hospitalizations. Do you feel that we...
Okay, I need to stop. When they talk about hospitalizations, what is not being told is we now have let all of the elective surgeries come in. Elective means people who have cancer, other issues. Elective means not emergency. So there are elective. There are a number of beds and there are a number of ICU units that have been reserved for COVID-19, approximately 30% of the total. That is not being discussed. So when you hear the ICUs or beds are maxing out, that is for only the COVID portion, which is, as I said, about 30% of Austin hospitals by their own numbers. You have to read all the way down the bottom of the news story in order to get that small detail.
The more interesting thing is she said this is the deadliest. How many people died?
Yeah, I don't understand this either. Looking at every chart, I don't see how it's the deadliest, but I don't know what she's basing it on.
She said deadliest.
I know.
Be the deadliest.
I know. And I can't find that in the numbers.
Governor, we have seen the deadliest week in Texas since this all started, and we just hit a new high for hospitalizations. Do you feel that we've seen the worst already, or do you believe that things are going to get worse before they get better?
Things will get worse, and let me explain why. And that is...
he's such an uplifting guy, isn't he?
The deaths that we are seeing announced today and yesterday, which are now over 100, those are people who likely contracted COVID-19 in late May. Remember this.
There's no data to back up what he's saying, by the way. There's no data that says, here's the number of days people typically are in the hospital or the ICU until they die. I think he's just pulling this out of his ass. Oh, these are the people who had it in May. Okay.
Massive spike occurred in the second or third.
Hold on, at May.
He says these are people.
May, June, and now we're halfway through July. It's taking 45 days. Give me a break.
Those are people
who. It's supposed to be 2 weeks max.
This is why I can't believe
That's
any
when
of
there's
it.
a 12-day quarantine. You don't have a 45-day incubation period. Where's that come from?
His butt?
That's just a blatant lie.
I'm pretty sure it is too, but that's what I'm saying. There's something else going on, and I think we can figure it out quite easily.
Which are now over 100. Those are people who likely contracted COVID-19 in late May. Remember, this massive spike occurred in the second or third week of June, and that's what led to this massive increase in hospitalizations, as well as
There's no massive increase.
people going to ICU units. And so actually the worst is yet to come as we work our way through that massive increase in people testing positive. That said, it's also essential to make sure that people in the greater Lubbock area understand this, and that is, this isn't something that's relegated only to the big cities of Dallas and Houston.
Now, Lubbock is interesting, and Lubbock is apparently there's something going on in Lubbock. Lubbock is a big college town. They're known for spreading all kinds of disease around. Didn't they have the blue? What was that thing in Lubbock? The blue fever or the...
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. There was some venereal disease that the college kids there were passing around. Yes, we did a whole show about it. The blue waffle. Yeah, the blue waffle. Don't you remember this? The blue waffle? Look it up.
I do not remember that for sure.
Look up the blue waffle. I'll play the rest of the clip.
You're seeing hospitalizations in Lubbock double. You're seeing a massive increase in people testing positive. The reason is because we now have what's called widespread community spread of COVID-19 in the Lubbock area. When someone in Lubbock goes out and to any place they go to and engage with somebody else, neither of them know whether or not the other has COVID-19. That's how massive it is. That is exactly why we made this request that people begin wearing face masks. The only way that we can keep our businesses open, the only way that we can have people continue to have a job they need to pay their bills, is for everybody to adopt this practice of wearing a face mask. Doctors have proven that this is a safe way to engage in commerce while also slowing the spread of the coronavirus.
Bless you. I hope you're okay there. So his numbers come from strange places. I'm not quite sure. I can't find any of this in the literature, but we'll just have to take his word for it. And he goes a little bit further here in his double down of the situation and where it's going to take us.
If the mask order is not enough to make a difference soon, what is the next step?
Great question. It's important for people to understand.
Is that a great question?
Not a great question.
Not a great
question. If the
question.
mask order is not enough to make a difference soon, what is the next step?
Great question. It's important for
By the
people
way,
to
stop.
understand.
She's really asking for, that's a procedural, where you ask, what is the next step? Asking what is the next step is not a great question by any means. Just to double down on what you just said.
It's actually just a regular question for procedure. That's how it should be. Could you turn your speakers down just a tad, John? I'm coming through kind of hard there.
If the mask order is not enough to make a difference soon, what is the next step?
Great question. It's important for people to understand this. So the way you ask it is,
pay attention.
If the mask order is not enough. I will tell you this, if people use face coverings, it will be enough. So the only way that it would not be enough is if the public does not adopt this practice. And the public needs to understand that this was a very tough decision for me to make this level of requirement.
Listen carefully.
I know that your mayor strongly supports this.
That's the Austin Mayor Adler.
But we need the community to strongly support it. And the reason is this. I made clear that I made this tough decision for one reason. Is it was our last best effort to slow the spread of COVID-19. If we do not slow the spread of COVID-19, with that rise of hospitalizations that you're seeing in Lubbock, with the increased death rate we're seeing in the state of Texas, the next step would have to be a lockdown. The last thing I want to do, the last thing anybody in Texas wants to do, is to see another lockdown. Hence, the best thing everybody can do is do this thing that is inconvenient of wearing a face covering, knowing that it will keep your jobs open, your economy open, and your businesses open.
Okay. Let me just give you some boots on the ground. And bearing in mind that 333 and we just might as well just stay with the bull crap. We'll stay with everyone's bull crap. So by Abbott's bull crap, We have to do this. We have to stop immediately. And you can see Florida, which does not have a lockdown situation, has many more cases than Texas. It's number one. They now have 100% positive rate at many test centers. Isn't the entire idea to build up immunity? And if we have that at this point and we don't have massive amounts of people dying, then what is this really about? The vaccine is intended to also create a version of herd immunity. Enough people have to take it. Enough people have to have antibodies. So what is stopping us at this point? Well, I think Tedros, the president, CEO, and chief douchebag of the World Health Organization, can tell us exactly what this is about.
Make no mistake. The greatest threat we face now is not the virus itself.
Okay. Can I just replay that? The greatest threat we face right now is not the virus itself. This must be good news.
The greatest threat we face now is not the virus itself. Rather, it's the lack of leadership.
Oh, lack of leadership. Let's see what else is going on with that.
And solidarity.
And solidarity.
At the global and national levels.
Oh, we need global cooperation and leadership, okay?
That's why I said earlier, each and every individual should reflect. And we cannot defeat this pandemic as a divided world.
We cannot defeat the pandemic as a divided world.
The COVID-19 pandemic is a test of global solidarity and global leadership.
Oh.
The virus thrives on division.
The virus thrives on division! Ladies and gentlemen, vote for Biden. We need cohesion. Vote for Joe. Don't vote for Trump. That is divisive. And the virus will win. We will die.
It's like a Star Trek episode. To take all the fear out of your brains, it eats all your fear and grows.
The virus thrives on division, but is thwarted when we unite.
Okay. Now, how can we have on one hand people telling us you need masks, you're having sex, have a mask, wear a condom and a mask over the condom and a condom over your head, and wherever you are, make sure you're wearing the mask. N95 doesn't matter if you're exhaling direct virus. It's fine. Just wear them. Put a sock on your face. That's fine. Come on, man. We're being hoodwinked here. That's the guy. That's the number one guy that everyone points to when he's saying it's the virus is not dangerous. It's our divisiveness.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That is
because we're not one world government.
That is just completely nuts. But
one world government, this would not have happened.
And it looks like President Trump is kind of coming along a bit.
Good evening, John. A lot of news from here tonight, and we want to start with what you were just showing. The president over at Walter Reed having a chance to meet with some of these wounded service members. The president also allowing cameras into the hospital for this shot that you're seeing right here. The president, along with members of the armed services and his Secret Service detail, wearing a mask.
Woo!
The president wearing a blue mask with the presidential seal on the side of it. This is the first time that the pool, or really the main press pool, has had a chance to see the president walk around with this. The president had been asked about whether or not he was going to wear a mask, and now the president doing just that. There's certainly a shot that the president wanted to see captured on camera, and it'll be interesting to watch the fallout from all of this.
Okay, so it looks like he's all in on the unity, and quite appropriate.
You know, they had to have had a meeting. Can we get a mask that's red and says "Make America Great Again"?
No, that's coming. There's no doubt that's coming. They're already out there. They must be. They must be out there.
But the presidential seal is pretty cool, so it's fine.
No, it's totally cool.
He looks like a bandit, a bandito.
Well, so coming down, all these things are kind of, I feel like, coming together right now, and this is the last push as we get ready for the vaccines, and where we're at right now is hurting a lot of people, and we'll get to that. I know you have a couple of clips. I just want to remind us about this concept of asymptomatic spread. We also need to think of something called pre-symptomatic spread. Asymptomatic, pre-symptomatic, not the same thing. Let's just remind you what the World Health Organization, the only statement they've ever made, it's not current, it wasn't today, but the only statement that they've ever made about asymptomatic spread is the following.
From the data we have, it still seems to be rare that an asymptomatic person actually transmits onward to a secondary individual.
It doesn't matter because we just need to call them the silent spreaders.
And new research indicates asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic COVID-19 cases are a primary driver of the virus spreading. Scientists have found that silent transmission could be responsible for half of COVID-19 cases.
Silent. Remember.
Wait a minute. We got one woman from the WHO saying that nobody's spreading this way, and now we have somebody saying half of them. Where did this study come from?
Oh, there's studies. There's a million studies. And you don't even have to look at them. But the key here is
like the global warming studies. The money's flowing, apparently, for these studies.
The key is silent spreaders. This is intended to make you fearful and demand that everybody wear a mask because they're going to kill you. Remember, as we've learned from Black Lives Matter, silence is violence.
The study found more than 1/3 of these infections would need to be identified and isolated to suppress a future outbreak. The model assumed COVID-19 may be most contagious during the pre-symptomatic stage.
So,
wait, it's gone even worse. Apparently, the spread is worse during pre-symptomatic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's why I can't take it seriously if everyone says, wear a mask, but it's really, you can make one of a face cloth, you can put your old underwear over your face, N95 mask is great, you're exhaling directly through a valve unfiltered. Don't worry about it, you're saving life. Come on, that's insulting to anybody. It's just crazy, and this is what it's about. Replace the word mask with vaccine. And then you know why we're going through this. That's the only conclusion that makes sense. It's controlling you, forcing you to go along with the program, to not kill other people, even though on the face of it, it's bullshit. It makes no sense. Don't wear
back to the.
Huh? Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm not going to argue any of this.
Yeah.
But I'm not now kind of curious about Abbott flip-flopping and then Trump wearing the mask and then the constant references to Lubbock, college town. I get the sense that they're just say, okay, you're going to play this game? Your colleges aren't opening up. Let's see how long you can live on that endowment. Yeah, you can do fly-by-wire.
Oh, I like
classes.
that idea. I like that. Well, Lubbock is, because I hadn't heard of Lubbock until this particular report.
Well, you said it was the Blue Waffle Center.
No, I hadn't heard of them in the context of coronavirus or COVID-19. It's the first I'm hearing of some explosion
I didn't
there.
either. This is new.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, what about these universities are a scourge in terms of they don't teach American civics, history, anything that's positive about that's all switched over to a socialist Howard Zinn sort of curriculum, which is hate America.
Yes.
Which we don't need. I mean, it just seems like the last thing you want is just brainwashing kids to hate America. So when they come out, they can't work, they can't get jobs. It goes on and on. And so let's see what happens if we put the squeeze on them.
That's a very odd strategy.
It costs a lot of money to run one of those things. You can't just shut down. And how many students are going to pay full tuition? In fact, Kaylee made mention of this in her last press conference. I did not get this clip.
Oh.
Because I ran out of room. But Kaylee said, well, maybe you should talk to these talk to my alma mater. She, I guess, graduated from Harvard or someplace. She's a hot shot.
Oh, really? Mm.
She says, why don't you talk to these people about why are students paying full tuition and they don't even get to go to a class? They have to take it all by wire, by Zoom.
Yeah.
So why are they paying full tuition? Why don't you ask that question? Which is, the way she does things. And I'm asking it now.
Well, so again, it's all politics, and none of it benefits us. Okay, great. So now we've got the president playing the same shitty politics, and meanwhile we are the victims of it, just more so because of this. And what if Abbott says 35-day lockdown?
He's not going to do that. Let's just assume he's not going to do that.
Okay, because
at least let me assume that he's not going to do that. And this whole thing is targeting the universities at this point because they can't hold it off anymore. So, okay, we'll play your game and let's see what happens at these universities. Because when they talk about reopening the schools, they're talking about reopening the schools that kids go to, kids who really don't get COVID.
Right.
They're not talking about reopening the universities where adults, exactly. I mean, yeah, you're 18, 19 when you go to a university, but you're old compared to like a 7-year-old or 8-year-old.
So it's possible. So I like the theory that they're well, really, I think across the country we're seeing these big institutions are going down. I mean, it'll never come back. The whole concept. There's too many strikes against Harvard and Yale. I mean, sure, the elites will still get their papers from them. They won't even attend. It's all going to be as cheap as possible. No one wants to pay this full tuition anymore. If that's to bring that down as part of the plan, okay. You know, it's very annoying to me. And to be threatened with 35-day lockdown is stressful. It gives me agita. I don't like it at all.
Well, yeah, but you're media exempt.
Not the point, as you know. I mean, even Robert De Niro, coronavirus has ruined his finances.
What?
Yeah, Robert De Niro is ruined because of the coronavirus.
It's all working out for the best.
No, listen, he put all his money in Tribeca Grill, in the hotel. He's got money in Nobu. All of that shut down. And his ex-wife, she demands $100,000 a month Amex limit. so he's out there.
What kind of women are these?
He's out there with his accountant saying, "I'm ruined, man. I don't know if I can get through this. I only make $7.5 million a year now. I can't afford to live this way." That's Robert De Niro, literally complaining in the press about that. Idiot. Wow. All right, I want to hear what you've got from for COVID, and then I want to get into vaccines.
Some roundups.
Yeah, we got some vaccine stuff to talk about.
Ways to go. I mean, I got the. Well, I mean, just specifically to COVID, but bringing up this something that San Antonio we had mentioned, and we talked about the little kids going to school, and they're not going to get anything, although they can bring it home,
right?
Which has to be considered, but. There's this thing going on, this pre-K. They always try to do this with pre-K. They're trying to brainwash the kids, and so you can't brainwash them in colleges because these guys are all going to go under. And that's where the big brainwash is. I don't know how much brainwashing you can do to a kid, but somebody must have some evidence of something because they keep pushing for pre-K, pre-K, pre-K. Let's listen to this clip's pre-K for San Antonio 1.
So first of all, I just wanted to ask you to tell us why pre-K matters. You're a former teacher, you're an administrator, you've also taught education courses at the university level, so you kind of have that bird's eye view of the whole system. Why does pre-K matter?
Well, pre-K is really about brain development. We know that young children's brains develop about 90% of their architecture in the first 5 years. And so we really need to focus on those first years to make sure that children have the underlying academic concepts and brain structures to learn at high levels later on. So it's a really good investment, a good way to get children off to a great start.
Whoa. I don't know what clip 2 is, but this is a borderline. So these kids are what? What is kindergarten? Kindergarten is 5?
Yeah, these are 4-year-olds.
4-year-olds? We got to get their brain structure just right.
Well, if you play that clip again, she says academic...
structure.
They need an academic structure in their brain at 4 years old.
Oh, let me see if I can find it.
Have you ever met a 4-year-old?
So we really need to focus on those first years to make sure that children have the underlying academic concepts and brain structures to learn at high levels later on.
Whoa.
Academic concepts
who was this
at 4 years old? Are you kidding me?
Who was this woman? Who was saying this?
She's the head of this operation called Pre-K for SA. And...
wow.
This is on NPR. I'm now mining NPR, people. You're going to get a lot of good stuff.
Beauty. All right.
And so she's got this thing going on with them. There's a lot of money involved, and they are all concerned that not everyone can get in on this. And pre-K always seems to me to be like, it's a babysitting service.
Totally.
And if anybody thinks they're getting academic anything, they've got their heads
Wait a minute. So this is this is the biggest problem parents have. People need their kids to go back to school. I know people who are spending $190 to $200 a week in childcare so that they can work. If the government now will step in and say, give them even earlier, don't worry, we're going to give them the right brain structure for higher learning later on.
Yeah, which is a crock, but okay. She's got a good pitch. Let's listen to part 2. It's longer.
It's my understanding that your program spends an average of more than $11,000 per child, compared with about $9,000 per child for public school. What accounts for that difference? And I understand that is a source of some criticism. So how do you answer that?
Isn't that the VIG? Doesn't everybody know what that extra $2,000 is?
We know what that is.
Come on, lady. We know what it's called. Acquisition cost. Hello.
Right. So what I say is we spend what it takes to get quality, because we know that only if you have high quality are you going to get those long-term outcomes that are associated with early learning. But we also invest in our people. So we pay a livable wage to our assistant teachers and our teachers. But also we offer a program that goes from 7:15 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night, because we know that families, when they're working, they can't leave at the end of, the school day at 3 o'clock to come pick up their children. And so ours is a 10-hour program for families that are working full-time or going to school full-time. And so that's where some of the additional dollars go as well.
And then here's the other side of the criticism, as I understand it. There are kids in San Antonio who don't qualify for pre-K for SA. As we mentioned at the outset, it's for families of limited income, it's for military families, and for English language learners. But then the kind of high-quality pre-K that you're talking about is very expensive. There have to be families that are stuck in the middle. They don't qualify for pre-K for SA, but they can't afford these private programs. So what's the vision for them?
Well, that's exactly right. So we go up for reauthorization in November, and in our next 8-year authorization, that's where we're going to focus. We are going to make pre-K for SA free of charge to families who are in that middle class that making up to $65,000 a year. They make too much to qualify for the free pre-K in the public sector, but not enough to afford it in the private sector. So that's really where we're going to focus. And we're going to work with our partners in other programs to make those high quality seats available to all families across San Antonio. Because that's really our goal, is to make sure that every family in San Antonio with a 4-year-old who wants their child to go to a high quality program has access to that.
Okay. I just want to talk briefly about this high quality education they're getting at 4 years. Is it possible that whoever pre-K for SA is, and I'm sure this is elsewhere, want to get this, the message in, white privilege, white fragility, want to get Black Lives Matter incorporated into the child's mind very early on, with a result, which is the lieutenant governor of Texas was talking about, unfortunately, on the Laura Ingraham show. I dislike her even more these days. But it was Frau Ingraham. It's a great statement by the lieutenant governor.
Look at this, and I think most Americans look at this the same way. We know that each Black life matters, but Black Lives Matter as a group, they're a communist organization. And what you played earlier, they're trying to take over the school boards and take over the education of the system. And not will it just indoctrinate these students to embrace communism, it will turn them against their own parents. Because this is not the way we grew up. So people in America need to understand Black Lives Matters is a communist organization, but each Black life matters is important to every one of us.
What better than to get them even earlier to turn them against their parents?
Well, that's a theory. I mean, that is an old communist precept that you get the kids, this goes way back to the Greek and Roman times where they had a whole, where the kids were just removed from their parents and brainwashed from day one, to get them to a point where they have some of these, these ideas kind of pushed into that early era. It's possible that I don't know if it works or not. I mean, there's some evidence that it does, and I'm sure there's plenty of evidence that it doesn't.
Well, if we look at who is
10 out. By the way, this is 10 hours a day of propaganda.
If we look at who is going to be teaching these pre-Ks, it's going to be the new graduates from the schools who have come out with a lot of this thinking, and the thinking is inspired and not just inspired, but is reinforced by Robin DiAngelo.
Absolutely.
And Brene Brown. Does anyone remember that name?
No. Review, please.
Okay, Brene Brown, highly respected. She's like one of Oprah's mentors. She started this corporate understanding of privilege and shaming, a lot about shaming. And in fact, when I was in therapy years and years ago, she was brought up with in the context of shaming, and I actually listened to some of her stuff, but I had never put together all the different pieces. The things that she has been doing predates Robin DiAngelo by, maybe even a decade. Here, actually, she did a little conference not too long ago, and I have a few short clips. So this is Brene Brown, and again, she is Oprah's guru when it comes to these types of issues.
And our collective story in the United States is a story of white supremacy. That is the story. That's our story, and we have not owned it. So now, it owns us. It still owns us, and it defines us. Because we have not had the courage to step in and own the story and say, this is the truth about where we come from and what we've done.
And this is part of the 1619 Project, which we've only talked about a little bit. It's this big New York Times project, which is now also being introduced into school, which says, no, America, the United States is not 1776. It goes back to 1619 when the first people were enslaved, your favorite word, enslaved, and it really rewrites the history as I learned it and as you learned it, and it's now being taught in schools, and this is the kind of result.
In every class I've ever taught, we do a privilege exercise where I say, tell me about...
Oh, right, yes, hold on, stop.
You got her?
I remember this is what we did, a whole show on these privilege exercises where they ask you a question. This was the... Yeah, I didn't think it could get worse than this, but
it's been with us all along. And we've kind of laughed at it, I guess, and whatever. But it really got integrated. It's just I got these two short clips here. Hold on.
Privilege in your life, and you have to remember, I'm looking at on a class. It's 25% African American, 25% Latinx, 25% Anglo, and about 25% Asian American. Some people transfer to international students. And in the last several years, I've had a signer, an American Sign Language translator in my classes. So we're talking about the real thing. We're talking about what America looks like.
Okay. No, that's not the American. No, we don't have 25, 25, 25.
Well, and 25, the numbers seem to be wrong.
Yes.
But by the way, I will say this, though. When she says that, this is what America looks like. This is actually a belief, and I think it's mostly held by the Democrats.
Hardcore, yes. And
the Democrats actually think by berating the white voter, and you have to remember, let's go back to demographics, 75% of Americans, and many of them are Latinx, self-identify as white. And you start telling a whitey that he's an idiot, you're going to not pick up a lot of votes with that strategy, and that's what the Democrats are doing.
It hit me this morning as I'm prepping in the darkness. It hit me. If someone would call me a racist or someone with white privilege, go ahead, John. Just throw it on me. Just do one of those, and I'll give you my new line.
You have to, because you have white privilege, dude.
Excuse me. How dare you use your privilege to assume I am white? Come on now. That will shut people up. Excuse me? Did you just use your privilege to assume that I am white? Is that what you think I'm white? John, you can say it. You can say, you don't have to say I'm not. You say, you use your privilege to assume that I'm white? Says enough. They will never say, I can tell you're white. Oh, really? Oh, really? You could tell that I'm white. You just say that.
You could pull that off.
The exact nut job stuff that they believe in themselves, and they will believe it. I mean, it's not helping society. We're all going to die in the end anyway, but at least I'll feel good in the interim.
Oh, you have a kick. You get a kick out of it.
But I think the COVID and the Black Lives Matter and the lockdowns and this type of the Robin DiAngelo, the equality, diversity, inclusivity training, all of this is coming together, and there's some real destruction, and I think it's targeting women primarily. This is why we have the Karens, and it's sick what is happening, and it's focused against white people and men. I'm going to read you an email that came in this morning, and I know 2 other cases that are similar of people I know. It's one of our producers. And it's horrible what I'm reading here. In the morning, I'm not able to give a donation as to this right now, but I wanted to write you before my phone is cut off tomorrow and I no longer have access to the internet. It's from Brian. I wanted to give you and John an eyes-on-the-ground report from Eastern Kentucky about what this virus has done to the poor. Now, he doesn't know exactly everything that's been done, but he says, since the virus began, my life has been turned upside down. My wife filed for divorce and became a lesbian. I got the virus and missed work and lost my job, and now, as they say, I am suffering from homelessness. This is happening to many I know, especially the divorce rate surging. I feel somehow the powers that be has found a way to create a record-setting single-parent homes and get rid of all dads. You and John have kept me sane these last few months, so I want to say thank you. I don't know when I will finally find a job and get internet again to be able to listen. Anyway, so Brian, first of all, thank you for your courage. I have heard it, not necessarily lesbian, but I've heard women hating men and hating their husbands and having visceral reaction to it during this lockdown. And
this lockdown part of it has to brings men and women together.
Part of it is coming from an oversaturation of understanding. Get rid of the heteronormative patriarchy. It's being said.
Getting rid of the heteronormative patriarchy has been a goal for years, and a lot of it is the romanticization, and you see it in Hollywood. The pronunciation of this
romanticization. I got you.
Of single moms.
Yes.
And she's a single mom. Everything's okay. Everything's great. You don't need a dad. Single mom. Yeah. And as you and Mo Fax even discussed, I mean, the idea is to really have a old-fashioned nuclear family is always a better thing to do so far as raising kids are concerned. But they romanticized the single mom, and this has been going on for years. Mm-hmm. And part of this pre-K for SA is really targeting single moms because they have to work.
Exactly.
And you got the 4-year-old, and if you got to do something with the brat. So you might as well send them over to these people.
Whereas we all know you really want children to work in the enterprise around the house. You want them either working on the farm.
Well, that would be ideal.
You want them doing stuff for the newsletter. I mean, you want them, doing artwork for the show or whatever your business is. And that's why we originally had kids, is to be part of the enterprise. Help around the house, do some chores. I can feel it. This is so big what is taking place. And, I have heard consistent stories of women becoming, in their whatever they call feminist, and really just seeing all the issues with men. And how can you not? We have joked about it for several years. The worst people in the planet has got to be straight old white men. Eventually, that stuff leaks in, and someone's going to start believing it. And if it's And if it's institutionalized the way I'm hearing it, that's concerning. And this is not a unique story. This is not it's, I don't know. I am, I'm at a loss for words is what I am. But it comes from way, way back. And now I think that, well, let's go back to, maybe go back and tie this back into Corona, because I know you have some other reports.
Well, let me get some of these Corona reports
but let's
out of the
just
way.
Bear that in mind. Bear in mind, we're looking at a total political issue. We heard it from the World Health Organization, from the president himself, Tedros. This is not about the virus. This is about leadership, doing everything together. Masks is the first thing. The whole world will have to wear a mask. Now in the Netherlands, it's starting to crop up more mandatory masking. Same in Belgium, which is where the European Union government is. So it's going to spread from there. That is, and it's not about the medical part. You can put a sock in your face and it's okay. They say that you can make it out of cloth. Good. Here's my sock. I tie it around my face. It's great. So it's not about a medical issue. It is about compliance. I never thought it would be. I even laughed at people who said that. And now I can't.
Well, you have mixed responses. You didn't necessarily laugh at people who said that. You're the first one that says it was a muzzle.
Yeah, a free speech muzzle. But now I'm seeing that everyone just does it to not either, now in Austin, to get ticketed, to not have other people point at you and yell. So you're just kind of complying with the crowd. Hello, does that sound familiar to the entire past years that we've had with privilege and whiteness? It's all part of the same thing.
I had a clip of somebody yelling at somebody. I don't know if it's on here, if I actually kept it.
I can't believe you had a clip of someone yelling at someone. No.
Let's go to finish these COVID things up. And let's go to this is NPR. I'm going with them.
Yep.
This is the update in Brazil. We know that Bolsonaro is a horrible right-winger populist. He's got to go. We need a guy that wants to, become a globalist. So we got to get rid of him by condemning him. But let's play the Brazil report.
So, meanwhile, in Brazil, President Jair Bolsonaro has been downplaying the threat from COVID-19 from the beginning. And yet the virus has hit the country very hard. And this week, Bolsonaro himself tested positive. So, Philip, what's been the reaction to that development?
Well, it wasn't really a surprise, as you mentioned. I mean, he's made a point of flamboyantly ignoring social distancing, and not only that, actually of subverting it. Even when he went live on TV this week to confirm that he had tested positive, he took his mask off. His opponents see the fact that he's now infected as proof that he's reckless and irresponsible, a danger to people's lives, and entirely incapable of handling this crisis. But there's also some speculation that Bolsonaro might try to turn this to his advantage. If it turns out that he only has light symptoms and he emerges relatively unscathed, he could use himself as an example that, what he's been saying all along is true, that regardless of the fact that COVID-19 has killed more than 70,000 Brazilians so far, that this virus really isn't all that serious and that most people will be fine, especially if they're like him, fit and healthy, and especially if they take hydroxychloroquine, a drug that he ardently believes in, even though most medical experts, not to mention the World Health Organization, do not.
No, brother. Well, watch. He'll walk through a hospital like our president, and he'll wear a cool ass mask in the hospital, which is
eventually.
Yeah, which is just to say, I get it in a medical space, whatever. Fine.
But if he catches it, if he's the hydroxychloroquine dig, which is uncalled for. But okay, let's go back to NPR and listen to their Sweden rundown, which has got a little gotcha in here statistically, which interests me.
Early on, Sweden took an approach to this pandemic that was just different from that of most similarly situated countries. So social distancing, yes, but no shutdown of the economy, hoping that as part of the process, the country would achieve some sort of herd immunity. How did that turn out?
Yeah, there's no getting away from the fact that Sweden ended up with a death rate several times higher than its Nordic neighbours. Looking at the latest figures from Johns Hopkins University, 54 deaths per 100,000 people. That's ahead of the US, where it's 40 deaths per 100,000 people. But if you compare it to other European countries like the UK, Italy, Spain and Belgium, who all had strict lockdowns, their figures are worse. I think where Sweden really failed was in its strategy to protect the elderly, the most vulnerable. 50% of deaths have taken place in care homes. And in terms of the...
But wait a minute. I just want to... We're still talking about 0.005% or 0.5? Is it 0.5% or 0.05?
Well, if you're going to go with 64 over 100,000, you can make that would be what, 0.6, I think.
No, I hate statistics.
Well, somebody pull out a calculator in the chat room and give us this number.
The trolls are going to give it to us. 100,000 and 64 per 100,000. I want to get it right.
Herd immunity. It wasn't the
but stop. You might say you should stop the clip.
Okay, stop the clip.
Let's do a couple of things we should note. One, first of all, they downplay the fact that Sweden is lower than the rest of the Europeans that had the extreme lockdowns, and that would include Italy with those ridiculously high numbers. But we can also assume that the Italians had the first, because they were connected to Wuhan directly because of the garment industry in northern Italy. And so they were just having the Chinese come straight over and infecting everybody with the first iteration of the virus, which is the strongest version. And that was the one that ended up maybe in New York that was it was just killing people left and right. It has deteriorated over time, which people don't want to discuss because nobody wants to admit that this is a lab created animal.
Here it is.
And so, so you have so they downplay the fact that Sweden actually did better than everybody else. And then secondly, if you take that 50% by not, they had half of these deaths, these 64, half of them are from the old folks' homes, which means they could be misdiagnosed. There's a million things that can go wrong there. So their real number is 32, which is half of the 64.
Wait for it. So that is 0.032%. So that is a 3/100ths of a percent.
Yeah, that would be like the regular flu.
Yeah, maybe even a little lower. But yes.
Well, lower than the H1N1, which is another topic of conversation. Because apparently during the Biden-Obama administration, they actually ordered them to stop testing. This is a huge scandal that's not coming out in the mainstream media.
Tell me you have a clip. No, you don't have a clip, of course.
No, because there's nobody's talking about it. It's just in writing. You can find a lot of documentation. You can find there was a report that was done on CBS by Cheryl Atkinson in 2009. Mm-hmm. If anyone can find this clip, it'd be a miracle. I have not been able to find it. Cheryl Atkinson is talking about it now, but she's not talking about it on the air. In 2009, they were asking the question, she was asking the hard question, why are we stopping testing and we're stopping reporting on H1N1 when the death rates were going up the same way they were here?
Now, Tina was...
they literally stopped testing.
Tina was telling me...
So...
Hold on. Tina was... We got some kind of weird lag on the line. Tina was showing me some article that said... Even though Sweden has not had a single death in the past 2 days, they're still the worst people on earth. I'm paraphrasing the headline, but there's a concerted effort against Sweden to make sure everyone thinks that they did it wrong, despite it looking to me like they did okay.
I think they did better than okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all voluntary. The masks were there. They weren't there. It depends. There was some social distance. The Swedes can do this stuff. But they didn't shut down the whole economy like maniacs.
Well, they did shut down. Well, not like maniacs.
No, they were all volunteer shutdowns. It
was volunteer.
Edict.
Yeah, there was a lot of volunteer stuff. And the mobility, a lot of people worked from home. And they're set up for that. And we are too now. And if that was part of the the objective. Should we play this clip, the Sweden rundown?
Yep.
Continue on that?
Yeah, play the rest of it, sure.
Okay.
1,000 people. But if you compare it to other European countries like the UK, Italy, Spain and Belgium, who all had strict lockdowns, their figures are worse. I think where Sweden really failed was in its strategy to protect the elderly, the most vulnerable.
Stop.
Yeah.
How do you say that what she just said is unbelievably ludicrous?
Yeah, they failed.
How did they fail when their numbers are lower than the numbers she just cited? She just cited the numbers and what they did, but somehow that was a failure on Sweden's part. Can you explain this NPR logic to me?
Yes, I can. They are getting ready for the new pre-K for SA children who will ingest this information and believe, sadly, exactly what Orwell said.
Pre-K
yes is
for
no.
SHIT.
Yes is no. Good is bad. Black is white. The world is upside down.
I would like you to back it up and play that segment one more time.
Yeah, I think that is necessary. Here we go.
Getting away from the fact that Sweden ended up with a death rate several times higher than its Nordic neighbours.
Hold on. Several times higher is a mathematical descriptor. That means a multiplication several times. So 2 times, 3 times, several. What is several? Is several 3 or a couple will be 2? So can we say 3? What do you think? What do you feel? 4? Can we just call it 4? That's not true.
1,000.
But it's not true.
No. Well,
and she's talking about a rate.
Her
I'm going to play the whole thing again.
Nordic neighbors, what, Finland?
I'm going to play the whole thing again. Let's listen to this. This is some crazy mind control.
Early on, Sweden took an approach to this pandemic that was just different from that of most similarly situated countries. So social distancing, yes, but no shutdown of the economy, hoping that as part of the process, the country would achieve some sort of herd immunity. How did that turn out?
Yeah, there's no getting away from the fact that Sweden ended up with a death rate several times higher than its Nordic neighbours.
Death rate, John, not number of deaths, death rate.
Looking at the latest figures from Johns Hopkins University, 54 deaths per 100,000 people. That's ahead of the US, where it's 40 deaths per 100,000 people. But if you compare it to other European countries like the UK, Italy, Spain and Belgium, who all had strict lockdowns, their figures are worse. I think where Sweden really failed was in its strategy to protect the elderly, the most vulnerable. 50% of deaths have taken place in care homes. And in terms of the...
That's what every country had that happen. We had that happen. Oh, my goodness.
Herd immunity. It wasn't the overall goal, but it was something that scientists predicted would happen. And we aren't seeing very high levels of antibodies in the population here. And we're also seeing more science and research suggesting that it's unclear what will happen in the future, even for those who do have antibodies.
Wait, we're seeing more science and research that says it's unclear what we'll see in the future. What kind of science and research results is that? Come on.
This is the world's worst report.
This is NPR's I'm so glad you're doing this.
Research suggesting that it's unclear what will happen in the future, even for those who do have antibodies.
So are Swedish leaders acknowledging that they didn't get their strategy quite right?
Swedish leaders have admitted that things went wrong in terms of the death toll, specifically in elderly care homes. But I think what's important to point out here is that it's the public authorities, the scientists employed by the state. They've really been at the forefront of this crisis. And there wasn't a huge amount of political debate at the beginning. But as the death toll has turned out to be a lot higher than predicted, as debates have continued globally about why Sweden's been doing things differently, there's started to be a lot more concern and criticism, and the Swedish government has launched a coronavirus commission to look into how things were dealt with at a local, regional and national level.
Oh, man. There's just too much money for this stuff. Too much.
Oh, the commissions are coming and going. Biden's pushing for commissions. Let's do the one more. This is a two-parter. This is a COVID rundown. And this I wrote down switcheroo. So there's some some switcheroo going on here with the CBS report.
The coronavirus is taking a heavy toll on the United States. Many areas are seeing a dramatic new spike in cases, and officials are taking steps to help curb the spread. In Louisiana, Governor John Bel Edwards ordered a statewide mask mandate on Saturday. It's set to go into effect on Monday. Bars will also now be restricted to takeout orders only. And in Atlanta, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms ordered the city to roll back its reopening plan to phase 1 after Georgia reported a single-day record for new infections on Friday. Under that phase, Atlanta residents will be required to stay home except for essential trips and wear face masks in public. Across the country, more than 3.1 million cases have been recorded, and there have been more than 134,000 deaths. Michael George has the latest details.
Okay. Now, this you have to listen to the way this was presented. This was presented as though they hooked up the new count, the 3 million cases, and then dropped in, because they're talking about the surge and that next batch and all the rest, and then they drop in the overall 134,000 dead number.
Yeah.
At the end,
continuous,
as though it's somehow connected.
Yeah. Like CO2 and climate change, baby.
So I'm listening to this going, and they're just throwing these numbers out you, and they've started. All of them are doing this. I noticed Nari Srinivasan was doing this, and all these guys on PBS are doing this. They're instead of doing the daily death, they're doing the 7-day average, move forward,
rolling
based
average
on a formula. Yeah. They're coming up with all these mathematical models to make the numbers sound worse than they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like a concerted effort. It's like, how much, they can't be, this is not a good thing for the country. Do they think they're helping their cause somewhere down the road? I don't get it. Let's listen to part 2 of that clip.
Bars, restaurants, and the young made their way into the crosshairs of governors of southern states where the virus is surging.
This executive order will prohibit the sale of alcoholic beverages at all South Carolina restaurants and bars after 11 p.m.
South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster threatened to strip liquor licenses from violating proprietors. At a Kentucky test site, bartender Michael Whitler knows what can happen after 11 p.m.
Once it gets too late at night, it's just unbelievable. It's been pretty nuts, enough to make you want to go get tested.
In Tennessee, Shelby County restaurants require customers to fork over their contact information before they'll be seated. Infectious disease Dr. Manoj Jain is on the local task force that mandated the rule.
I think it's really important to have people's names and phone numbers, because if there was someone who was positive in that restaurant at the same time, then the owners can tell everyone else.
Chef and owner Michael Patrick will hang on to the information and seating charts for the better part of a month to help trace patrons who test positive.
I would hate for, God forbid, someone to get sick here, but I would feel like it was a public obligation to let people know who ate here.
For some, crowded restaurants and bars are seen as a toxic cocktail.
Okay. As I'm sitting here listening to this, and please tell me about the switcheroo, and then I just want to give you my feeling of what we're seeing here.
No, the switcheroo was in the previous clip. That was
this is your switcheroo.
Adding these numbers as though it was part of the surge.
So, and I realized this morning. I got an email from a guy who I used to syndicate my radio show with, and he's big in the radio syndication, Westwood One, all this stuff. And he's doing podcasts, and he already sold a podcast advertising company. Doesn't matter. So we're going back and forth, and I'm telling him I'm not interested. I said, you should know we're not doing Patreon. You should look into what I've been doing for the past 15 years, whatever. Fine. And I said, I'll see you next time in New York. He replies to me, yes, next time in New York, or if I'm in Austin, of course, once we have the vaccine. And you and I and everybody, the No Agenda Nation, we know that we're not that concerned. This is a reality check. I believe people outside of our little bubble have this firmly in their heads. It's not over until we have a vaccine. It's not over until we have a vaccine. Everything will be abnormal until we have a vaccine. You can ask people, they will say it. I think the programming is very close to complete, and who knows? I don't know. I guess phase 3, Act 3 starts, but this is this is what this is all about. We have to take it through November. We have to get rid of Trump, but everyone's using it. The whole world is coming to this.
Oh, yeah. I don't have any doubt about it. What were you talking to this guy about? He wanted us to get Patreon? What is he talking about?
No, he was just trying to figure... He wants to... He said, oh, hey, Adam, how you doing? That podcast, I should sell ads for it. That's not the point.
Oh, yeah,
he's an old-time radio guy. He's a legend in advertising. Knows all the NPR scams. I learned a lot from him. But
I bet you did.
But,
well, let's get back to this. Okay, yes. So the vaccine, yes, that's exactly what everyone's thinking. When the vaccine comes out, here's what I always like to say. What's the name of this? It's SARS-CoV-2.
Yeah.
Is the actual name of this virus.
Yeah, the virus, yeah.
There used to be another one, I don't know, it was about a little more than 10 years ago. It was before we started doing our show.
Mm-hmm.
SARS-CoV-1.
Yes.
Also a man-made lab-based thing that came out and then disappeared after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Why wasn't there ever a vaccine for that, and why isn't it still around?
If you want to go down the vaccines, I'm ready for it.
Oh, no, I don't want to go down the vaccines.
We have to. No, we have to.
Question.
No, we have to, because this is exactly this is where we're headed with all this.
Well, because that's just a rhetorical question. Let me get I think I have one more.
Okay.
This is a funny clip. This is Covis. It says the 2 dubious cases in China. This is China. What is the point of this story? I wanted to ask you. This is a local story that's been played all over the country.
Meanwhile, in China, officials reported 2 new COVID-19 cases yesterday. Both were imported from foreign countries. The National Health Commission says that brings the total existing cases in China to 330.
No, this is the switcheroo. In the background of all of this, obviously, we have the first country that took this unprecedented move of a shutdown of a city of 11 million. They set the tone. They set the template. Their media partners set the entire strategy. So this part of it is, oh, by the way, you're giving it to us. Boo, you're bad. See, they're flipping it around. They're flipping this around. This is also about Trump. Okay, I want to talk about the vaccine, because the team that is in place is fascinating. And I've been talking to a number of producers who have a lot of insight into the Catholic Church, into the Vatican, into what the Pope is doing or not doing, and is it really the Pope if Pope Benedict only resigned his ministry and not his office? That's just a cool conspiracy theory I'm launching right here. You have to speak Latin in order to understand that one. But Redfield, the CDC director, another Jesuit, interestingly enough, appointed by Alexander Azar, the Health and Human Services Secretary, who also has some, I think, Orthodox, I have it in the show notes, is some kind of Orthodox Christian version of Catholicism. So they're all kind of involved, and they've all known each other for a long time. And Alexander Azar is a guy, that's a huge pharma guy. He was running pharma in 2009. The guy is revolving door shill. So let's listen to Redfield. Now, this is him on Pooper with Sanjay Gupta. And Pooper is trying to trick him and nail him down, like, why are you caving in to President Trump to help him open up the schools early? Why are you changing your guidance? But what Pooper, like all other completely underinformed and over-socialized people, has been told, or not been told, or has been told, is that the CDC never recommended shutting down schools at all. There's no recommendation for shutting down schools. Never has been. So the only thing that is coming out now is, well, since you shut down, here's some strategies which are called guidance that you can use to get back to some normalcy. But Pooper is trying to nail the CDC director on some, horrible fallacy that he's committed by kowtowing to President Trump.
Yesterday, the president tweeted saying, I disagree with CDC Gov on their very tough and expensive guidelines for opening schools. While they want them open, they're asking schools to do very impractical things. I'll be meeting with them. Then shortly after the vice president announced, with you standing by his side, he said this.
The president said today, we just don't want the guidance to be too tough. And that's the reason why next week CDC is going to be issuing a new set of tools.
And then Caitlin Collins then asked you at that same press conference if you're changing the guidance because the president said he doesn't like it. You didn't answer the question, so I just want to give you another opportunity because it does sound like CDC is caving to the president's demands to essentially weaken guidelines, to make them less tough. I know a lot of thought was put into those guidelines. Now, all of a sudden, you're issuing new ones?
Thank you, Anderson. First, I want to really stress that the purpose of the CDC guidelines are to provide a variety of different strategies for schools to use to help facilitate the reopening of schools.
You're saying you're not putting out new guidelines, but I mean, the vice president just said it all right there. He said, we don't want them to be too tough, so you're going to be releasing new tools. I know you said you had already planned this. It sure seems like a coincidence now that these are going to show up next week, especially because usually these things take so much time to go through. I don't understand. Either recommendations are based on science or they're not. Why science? Why come out with new ones? If all of a sudden these guidelines were worked over for a long time.
Yeah, they're not new guidelines that we're coming out with, Anderson. We've started the guidance for K through 12 back in February and higher learning back in March. We continue to update them. The guidance that we put out recently for K through 12 and higher learning is our guidance. We continue to expand that with different tools like I was trying to complete. We have a tool to help schools understand how to test for symptoms. We have a tool coming out on how to use face masks in the school setting. We have a tool coming out for parents to understand a checklist of understanding whether their child should come out to school. So the vice president was referring to the additional tools that we have that we're planning out, but there's not a change in our guidance.
So here's the background on this Redfield guy, who was pretty good there. He and, you remember Birx, of course, Dr. Deborah Birx, who I used to simp so hard for her. She was a colonel in the Army. Redfield was also a ranking officer. They together ran the AIDS trials, the HIV AIDS trials, which in the armed services, it was horrific. They had PCR tests, the same we have now, that had a high rate of false positive and about half as high rate of false negatives. And then people were quarantined on base in what people called the HIV hotel. And the vaccine was tested on them, which I think was GP160. Long story short, all of it's in the show notes. They were both brought before a commission who found that they had fudged the numbers in order to accelerate the development of this GP160 HIV AIDS vaccine, but nothing was done with that information. It's called, Lurie versus Department of Army 970. So it's in the show notes if you want to look at it. So these people have been doing this with the AIDS vaccine. They're using the same platform. In fact, here's our new friend, Dr. Francis Collins, updating the Senate on the vaccine development. Just a couple of interesting background points.
Thursday, scientists overseeing development of coronavirus vaccines assured lawmakers help is on the way.
We are all optimistic that the goal that we have set to have a vaccine that works and is safe by the end of 2020 will be met.
Dr. Francis Collins, director of the National Institutes of Health, says Operation Warp Speed is testing and manufacturing promising vaccines.
All being conducted side by side.
But Missouri Republican Senator Roy Blunt raised concerns about speed versus safety.
Do you have any concerns that on the vaccine side that FDA is not going through every safety step?
No compromise at all on the safety and the efficacy standards.
Illinois Democratic Senator Dick Durbin pointed to a defective 1955 polio vaccine that sickened tens of thousands of children with the disease and killed 10.
Can you reflect on that for a moment?
That was a terrible tragedy. I think I could reassure you and the American people that that strategy of trying to administer a killed vaccine is not currently being pursued.
Dr. Collins says thanks to billions in federal dollars, his team is making great progress. But Washington Democratic Senator Patty Murray worries drug companies might get greedy at the expense of the public.
I'm very concerned that pharmaceutical companies have dictated the terms.
The goal is to ensure that vaccine access for all Americans who...
CDC Director Dr. Robert Redfield says he's cautiously optimistic the vaccine will be ready by April of next year.
So that report, that editing was in the actual TV report. I mean, they're taking 2-word sentences from people to try and stitch together whatever story they want to portray. But something is up with the HIV. The team, it's the same team, and Bill Gates is giving away something they just had an HIV summit. An HIV summit 2020, which I didn't know about. And he's now also mixing in HIV and COVID.
The pandemic is disrupting the supply chains and therefore slowing our progress in the fight against all other diseases, including AIDS. Both the UN and the Global Fund have released projections showing that these disruptions could prevent hundreds of thousands of people from getting the treatments they need, and that's just in sub-Saharan Africa. So we have our work cut out for us, but I remain optimistic. I remain optimistic that we will defeat COVID-19 and we will continue to make strides against AIDS and other health crises. I believe that for several reasons. First is science. In the global race to detect, treat, and vaccinate against COVID-19, researchers are making great advances. Faster, better diagnostic tools are being developed to help identify those infected. Also, we're making great progress on vaccines. These platforms won't just be useful against this particular virus. They will also help us specifically for HIV.
Okay, I think that they're setting up a whole nother round of HIV vaccine, and there's a whole new money push. Well, which, of course, we haven't, this has been 30 years. There's been no HIV AIDS vaccine.
No, it's not easy to do. And there's a number of reasons. This takes us right back to the very beginning of this whole ridiculous fiasco, where the Nobel Prize winning physician in France looked at the coding and says was an attempt to make an HIV vaccine.
Yes, there you go.
Via the COVID structure.
Yep.
Platform, the COVID platform. It was a chimera.
Holy crap. This is it. They're going to say we have the vaccine. It doesn't fix COVID, but we've cured AIDS.
Well...
Or both. I don't know.
Cure is a very good one at the moment.
Oh, gosh. Wow, you're right. I'm so happy you remembered that. What up with that? Good memory. That's exactly it. Now we get punished with all this data glut that you have to really concentrate and go back to. That's right. This had all the HIV penetration bits or the spiky proteins or whatever it was.
Yeah, the idea was to put an HIV, to take a COVID structure, which is the spikes that can penetrate, and then put an HIV, some HIV, dead HIV in there and get it into the system and make it a kind of a vehicle as a kind of a roundabout vaccine. These are all experimental ideas.
Oh, yeah, no, so it's exactly
the DNA experiment that they're going to try to pull off against a bunch of dummies like your friend who's going to be more than willing to stand in line and get a shot of this COVID vaccine, even though, again, I asked the question, will this SARS-CoV-2 even be in existence as such unless they reintroduce it, which I don't think they will, because I think I'm still sticking to this story that the Chinese destroyed all the original versions, so they can't reintroduce the deadly version that got loose.
Right, that was the L strain or whatever it was.
Whatever strain. It was the original, let's just say.
The OG, Corona OG.
The OG Corona, and it comes out, kills everybody, starts to deteriorate back into a cold virus, which is pretty much what it is now. If you look at these death charts, there's nobody, it's like people have it in there, but they're not dying like they used to.
Okay, so let me tie it all together now. So we have the whole AIDS team. Makes sense because they're justifying all the money and future funds because we have this platform. And by the way, the platform is great. I mean, we know how to do this. I won't even play the rest of the clip, but Gates continues to say, we got to make sure we roll it out across the platform to Africa and South America. So they're setting all of that up.
your test bed.
In the meantime, we need to really get everybody on board because we have this strong anti-vax issue. And let's just start with the Catholic Church. I just learned that our friend NIH director, Dr. Collins, is on the permanent member lifetime board. There's only 80 people. Pontifical Academy of Sciences, which is pretty much the Vatican think tank.
I thought he was an evangelical Christian.
Yeah, he is. Or that's what he claims he is. So
he's a Catholic?
Well, he's on the Pontifical Academy. Yeah, that's what he claims. So,
he's a Catholic.
Yes, that's what he claims.
Okay, that would be technically a charismatic, as opposed to evangelical. But if he calls himself an evangelical, there's something up with this guy. Well, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make any sense, which I said the last time. And you've pointed out when he didn't say, God bless America or whatever.
No, I think this is part of this is about destroying the Catholic Church. It's going on everywhere. These guys are in cahoots with the Vatican. And it's not the Pope that is running the show. It's the Secretary of or the head of Secretary of State for the Vatican. It's this other guy. So many of these guys. So he's kind of running the show, and then we've got China paying $2 billion a year to the Vatican for something, and then this current Pope essentially blesses some of these phony cardinals in China who have this kind of Catholicism, but everything else is underground. We've got churches burning everywhere. I mean, there's something going on here. Something's weird. And yeah, Collins, I think, is a big part of it. Dan Brown. Dan Brown. Where's Dan Brown?
Still a big player in the pro-choice, pro-life battle. So they got to go.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's a whole bunch of reasons.
They have to go, and so you emphasize all the negative things about that about the institution.
Yeah, like this. Listen to this.
Try to destroy it.
Listen to this. Associated Press. This is one of those shaming articles about who got government money for the PPP.
Oh, yes, exactly. Mimi was ranting about this.
So this one, there's a number of articles. This one is, and I think this is a misnomer, the U.S. Roman Catholic Church, which I don't think exists. There's a Roman Catholic Church, but there's no U.S. Roman Catholic Church, used a special and unprecedented exemption from federal rules to amass at least $1.4 billion in taxpayer-backed coronavirus aid, with many millions going to dioceses that have paid huge settlements or sought bankruptcy protection because of clergy sexual abuse cover-ups. That's the opening of the article. Boom shakalaka.
Yeah, it's a hit piece.
It's a great piece. That's fantastic.
Wow. Yeah, something's up. I think you spotted something there. I didn't notice it myself because when Mimi's ranting about this, I said, well, it's not a deconstruction thing. I don't know where I would
not
fit
really
into the show, but now that you mention it, it fits right into the show.
And what was burned in Washington, D.C. during the Black Lives Matter church?
Right. A little church.
California mission founded by your boy, Junipero Serra. What's his name?
Well, I don't know if this was a Junipero Serra church, but yes, a recent mission down in Southern California burnt.
Yeah.
It was under renovation, just like the Notre Dame. Another example.
Uh-huh.
Probably a better example. Mysteriously catches on fire and is taken out of service.
And meanwhile, the guys running the show with the vaccines ready to stick the needle in your arm are all in on it with the Chinese. Woo! It's a good time for a podcast like this one.
Well, no kidding.
If I didn't have you to talk to, I'd be going nuts right now with this thinking. I think I need some. I need a pill or something. This is not good. I need some Vaseline.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's good stuff.
How about this? We'll take a breather right here. I'll thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in so many things we've discussed, John C. Dvorak.
Yeah, well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all ships, sea boots, telegraphy in the air, subs in the water, names, the Knights out there.
Yeah, well, in the morning to the troll room, noagendastream.com is where they are known to hang out. And let me see. I can do a little quick troll count, even though I'm on location. Wow, 1738. So that's pretty good. I mean, it's not our typical. We've been doing a little higher on Sunday. We've been doing closer to 1900, but they're there. And they're trolling, and they're doing a great job of it. We love them. Kind of, I guess. And you can join them at noagendastream.com. When you're in there, ask for an invite. You can ask Doug for an invite to noagendasocial.com, which is our federated social network with very high signal-to-noise ratio. And let's say in the morning to the artist who brought us the artwork for episode 1258, we titled that appropriately, The Dummy Placebo. This was Dan McCall, and he had the Cleveland Unicorns football helmet, which I think we were both kind of good with.
Yeah, no, what happened was we were having trouble finding the right art, and this is the last piece that came in.
Yeah.
And it was a nice, other people have tried to do this because it caught on the idea of a team named the Unicorns, but he actually put it on a helmet, made it look like a real team.
Yeah. Yeah,
in fact, it did look good. Every time I look at it, I say, maybe there is a team that
a lot of people responded.
Maybe is there a team? I mean, I'm almost convinced.
Could be.
So,
it was good. It was good.
It was a nice piece, and it was very well done. And he had the little subtleties, like the little thing, the strap right over part of the logo covering it up.
That was well done.
It was extremely professional.
Although I still maintain, for some reason, I feel like the helmet should have been facing to the right. I don't know why that is.
I don't know why you insisted on this.
It grates me for some reason. I don't know what it is. Something weird. It's me. Thank you, Dan McCall, and thank you to all the artists, because a lot of people are submitting, a lot of people doing some outstanding work. It's not a judgment. We love you. We have to pick something that will behoove the show, and also we had the title. We didn't want to, we try not to have the title and the artwork be the same, which would have been Dummy Placebo. So, but this is part of how it works. It's our great value for value network, where you get out of it what you put into it, and a lot of people are helping produce this show, as well as our financial producers, bringing it, the executive producers and associate executive producers for $12.59. We have a couple.
Yes, we do. We have two. When you say a couple, we have two executive producers. This is a little lower than we've been getting. Sir Paul, the trusted advisor, is our top guy. $333.34 from Dallas, Texas. He's from Dallas, Texas. Greetings from Dallas, Texas. Donating in the spirit of my grandpa passing naturally. LNL.
LNL.
I don't even know what that says.
LNL. His grandpa passed.
LNL living in light. I don't know.
Oh no, Love and Light. Here. No, Love and Light.
Love and Light. Okay, 4 RLTVs receiving SRC-2.
Come on.
Jobs karma for Abraham. Please de-douche. Oh, he needs a de-douching. Let's start with that.
Okay, we can. Wow, this is. He did put. This is like some kind of text shorthand.
You've been de-douched.
So he needs a. I don't know what the SRSC-2 is, but Jobs Karma I can decode it for Abraham. Jobs Karma for Abraham. And then a happy birthday to Dame G Money, the hysteria skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
And belated 33rd birthday to me, Sir Paul. So there should actually be 2 birthdays on the list. I don't think so.
What do you mean? That they're not both on the list?
That's what I'm guessing.
Okay, hold on a second.
To Dame G Money. The hysteria skeptic, and a 33rd for him, Sir Paul.
Oh,
Everyone who, by the way, anyone who has a 33rd birthday has to become an executive producer for a show.
Yes. Okay, so I'll do the Jobs Karma then. I think that's it. I can't see anything else that we missed in that one.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
Onward with our second associate executive producer, Jamie Stinson, $333 in the morning. Jay here from Kiama. first off, I need a de-douching.
Okie dokie.
You've been de-douched.
This donation is for our new human resource, Odin. Really?
Oh.
Huh. Which will be starting here in Kiama in November. Hope he signs the sign-up form with the right tick box. He's in Australia, and his kid's named Odin.
Okay. Is that weird? Is there something I should be aware of?
Well, Odin is just not a name that I would think, is just like a god, Greek god or something. I don't even, somebody in the chat room should brief me on Odin.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're in trouble. Also, a shout out to my boogity smoking hot human resource incubator, Anna. Cute. Who lost her father last week. Sorry.
Aww.
I wish Odin got to know him. And please know all is going to be okay. Trust me. As it is her birthday today, please add her to the shout-out birthday list. Happy birthday, babe. Can I get some new human resource karma and some jobs karma? Jingles, L. Sharpton Medley, China's asshole, and thanks, Obama. Jay from Kiama, New South Wales, Australia. Any no agenda people down here want to meet up? Let's do it.
RESPICT.
China is asshole.
Thanks, Obama.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
Emily Shade is up, and she sent a note in, which I do have.
She's in Portland, Oregon.
She says, "Hi, John. Donation note to accompany my PayPal initiated so-and-so for $264.75. And she's an associate executive producer for $264.75. She's requesting first-time home buying karma.
Okay.
And a self-birthday shout-out. Okay, she needs to be added to the birthday list, apparently.
Emily Shade. Okay.
Emily Shade for July 14th. Love the show. So that was simple and easy. So we just need to give her a house buying karma.
Okay, and I'll put her on the list now.
You've got karma.
Hold on, Emily Shade. How old was she?
She didn't give her age, but it's July 14th.
Okay. Oh, all right. So we're well in time for that. Okay, groovy. All right.
Okay, I have to go look up Lady Butters.
Oh, no, you don't say. Oh,
no,
yes.
I got Dave Fugazoto. Fugazoto said 2:30.
I was ready to do my squirrel mail. Okay, Fugazoto.
2:30, 456 in Gladstone, Missouri, which he's not. He's stuck.
I know.
In
my
Saudi
goodness.
Arabia.
Yeah.
He didn't send a note of any importance. He just said, still stuck. It says, Dear Jake and Elwood, still stuck. Send karma. Thanks for your courage. So he needs a karma to get out of there.
Yeah, I actually emailed him this morning when the note came in. I'm like, I'm going back and forth. See if there's anything we can do for him. I think it sucks. He's still stuck. He hasn't seen his wife and daughter for what now? 4 or 5 months?
Mommy, who's that strange man?
You've got karma.
Worst thing ever, Dvorak.
I'm sorry.
Worst thing ever. Oh, man. They're military family, so I'm sure they're fine. They're military family. They can do this, but it's tough. Tough for anybody. Jeez. All right. Do you have the Lady Butters now? Do you have her email?
I do have Lady Butters. While you were berating me for being cold-hearted
mean
prick.
And cold. Yes.
I am going to read Lady Butters' note. She came in from Tiverton, Rhode Island, 23288, and she writes, I would like to propose a toast to Sir Knives of the Providence Plantation for his 32nd birthday on July 13th. Of course, this is a random number, so all these will have a birthday on them that you're going to have to hand do while you're stuck there in Florida. So this is Sir Knives of the Providence Plantation. 30 becomes 32 on July 13th. Everyone in the No Agenda tribe, please grab whatever you're drinking and raise it with us. Cheers to your next year on the road to magic number 33. We will be celebrating with our weekly husband and wife No Agenda Sunday brunch after hosting the Southern New England Suma pool party meetup at our home the previous day. More to come on that for the next Thursday show, though I'm sure there'll be more photos and so on and so on. In the meantime, please make sure my hellishly handsome husband is on the birthday list that we just put in.
Could you? I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you actually give me that again, Sir Knives?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sir Knives of the Providence Plantations.
Yes.
Plural.
It's plantations. Yes, and he turns,
and he'll be 32 on the 13th.
Okay.
So now he says, she says, with a couple more quick requests, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Sorry.
Here we go.
But once jobs karma, not a toughie.
Got that.
And China is asshole. Hey.
Oh, well, that's an
she'd
easy
also
one.
like a that's true if you could follow that. China is asshole. That's true.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
She also says a snippet of the Russia, and then it cuts off.
Oh.
So I don't know what she's talking about.
Her note cuts
there.
off? Okay. And it was jobs.
Her note cuts off. But then she says, thank you for your courage, Lady Butters of the Narragansett Bay.
And it was jobs karma?
Jobs karma, China, and that's true.
You said it like a game show host for some reason. It comes across really well. I like that.
China is asshole.
That's true. Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You got karma.
Not quite sure why it works. It does. It does.
I don't know what I said. I'm going to go back and listen.
No, it's just the pleasant way you said it. Why, yes, it's jobs karma. It just sounded
jobs karma.
quite
And for
pleasant.
you, jobs karma.
Yes.
Colin Onufri in Fort Lee, New Jersey, 22420.
By the way,
we have a lot
Hold
of
on a
associates
second.
today.
Fort Lee, New Jersey, surely that's got to be racist.
Oh, yeah, it's got to go.
That has to change. You can't be from Fort Lee.
Go.
Yeah.
I would like to know what they're going to do about Washington State.
Yeah. It's got to go. Make it part of Canada.
ITM Jensen, thank you for your courage. First off, a de-douching is in order. Boing. De-douching.
It didn't boing.
You've been de-douched.
There we
Following immediately by a douchebag call out for my co-worker Dave. Douchebag. I hit Dave in the mouth at the beginning of all this Wuhan flu shenanigans. Some jingles, please, for Adam to cue. I'd like to Huntsman, Don't Trust China. Coincidence? I think not. Whole load.
Hold on. This is not humanly possible.
You're right.
Okay, it's too much. All right, the asshole full after. So okay, Huntsman, asshole. After that, what?
Coincidence? I think not.
Jeez.
There's too many. Keep it down to 4 minute maximum. Please.
No, they do this just to horrify me. And yeah, coincidence.
Coincidence? I think not. Whole load. You might die.
Oh, come on. This is not okay. This is taking away from valuable show time.
And a Pelosi jobs karma with a goat twist.
Could kind of be ashamed of yourself for doing that. But okay.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Now 23 and sucking on the teat of the unemployment system. The general theme of the tri-state area seems to be swollen amygdalas and no holds bar virtue signaling in these 1984-esque times. I pass these days by pushing back on the M5M narratives and hitting mofos in the mouth any chance I can get. To be red-pilled these days is a blessing. Thank you both again, and thank you all the producers out there. P.S. Professor Ted quotes are working wonders on the Gen Zs. Drop acid, not bombs, and order your 6-pack of Baofeng radios off Amazon while the getting's good. Who knows what's in store leading to November? Collins, Onufri to November. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Something. Professor Ted is trending hard. And he's trending hard. And of course, how long I've been talking about Professor Ted for 10 years, longer. And so in particular, the over-socialized, which I've been mentioning quite a bit, the social justice warriors, it's all in there. He wrote it, 45 years ago? And people are now discovering this, like, oh my goodness, yeah, that's right. They had a whole series on Netflix not too long ago, which didn't discuss any of this, but now people are figuring it out. So this is good news.
Donald Trump, don't trust China. China is asshole.
Coincidence?
I think not.
I'm going to give you the whole load today.
You might die.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
All right. Nice.
Almost perfect. You did make one foul up, but it was a good sequence.
But I had the wrong coincidence.
You had the wrong coincidence?
Yeah, it had the wrong coincidence. I think not.
No, no. That was fine. That didn't bother you. Didn't have the Trump Pelosi.
Oh, Trump. Oh, I have to do that over then because
jobs.
No, that's not the right one. Here we go.
Jobs,
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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
All right.
You've got karma.
And producers, please, producers, remember your privilege when requesting sequences of jingles and writing long notes.
That note took up half
Remember your privilege.
Sir Joby Wan of Weekapaug in 224-34.
Yeah.
Had a great time at the Northeast Ohio meetup. Man, we had some great producers. Please provide Lady Kara and I much-needed karma, jingles. Good to be here, brof. Nice job, you idiot, from Tucker. And that's it. So, Sir Joby Wan of Weekapaug.
I don't know about nice job, idiot. I don't know anything about this.
I don't know it either.
So what is it? So Brolf, and what is the other one?
Nice Brolf.
Yeah, Brolf, which is Fauci Brolf, yes. And then what?
Then the nice job, you idiot.
I don't have that. Oh, wait, maybe. That was an ISO, idiot. Oh, sorry. For some reason, that part of show prep didn't work out today. Here we go.
Good to be here, bro. Thanks for the lecture, idiot.
Yeah, that's it.
You've got karma.
There you go.
Thanks for the lecture, idiot. That's actually a nice clip. You said it for end of show. Well, I have two end of shows. Should I test them out now? Might
as well. We're so off the rails, you might as well do it.
Okay, let's go. I got two of them. They're from I'm taking clips off the internet, and they're playing these commercials on me.
What?
And so they played a spam commercial.
Okay, hold on a second.
So I have two spam ISOs.
You mean spam is in the product spam?
Yeah.
Really?
Actual commercial.
Why? And where did you get those? On YouTube?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You sure you're not being paid by the Spam Corporation to introduce this now, are you?
Well, you won't even know. But to play Spam 1.
Spam. Don't knock it till you've fried it.
I love the guy's voice.
Yeah, it's a great voice. Yeah. Don't mock it
big old voice
till you fried it. Yeah, big bottom.
Okay, and here's the second Spam ISO.
Sizzle, pork, and
No, I didn't like the audio of that one. And this, I think this is a little too long.
That one up. Don't knock it till you fried it.
Versus.
Thanks for the lecture, idiot.
Come on, man. It's clear. It's clear who wins.
They're both good.
Yeah, they are.
All right, onward with Sean Negrin in Clark, New Jersey. A lot of Jerseyites today. You from Jersey?
Yeah.
222.22.
Well, they've listening since Jersey has had a really hard time. The people are cracking under pressure. They're turning to the show, and it's giving them solace, and they want to, give us their thoughts.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
Been listening since Adam's appearance on Rogan.
Nice.
Thought it was time to donate. I love the show. Can you please send my lovely wife some jobs karma? She's been having a hard go since the Rona. P.S. Is John related to the Dvorak and his unusable keyboard?
I've never heard this.
When you put it that way, no.
But are you
supposedly there's some relation? Yeah.
And how about the composer?
Supposedly everyone's related to that guy. He was just out. He was that guy.
Well, you know who you're also related to?
He was like a musician. The same as, like imagine, Mick Jagger was the Mick Jagger kind of thing. These musicians, all they do is they chase women.
Hey, listen, I don't know why you said that, but you are also related, and he's very proud of it, to comic strip blogger. Through your Slavic,
in a meta sense.
Oh, that's what you say.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
Yowza. Okay.
Onward with David Metis in Pikeville, North Carolina, 212-33. But I'd like to split this donation between me and my daughter. You can do the accounting, and it's fine. Lila, meet us. It's meet us. Can I get a plug for our podcast, the Meet Us Pod, an audio fiction / audio drama podcast, and my 10-year-old daughter Lila's show, which is in Unicode, is something fun. I wanted to share her hard work. I can't read it.
I think it's fun. It's Fun Fact Friday with Layla and David.
Oh, okay. She wrote and recorded a theme song, does the audio editing as well. She's a 10-year-old and does the show notes.
Oh, wow.
I'm very proud of her and wanted to share her hard work. I wanted to ask her if she wanted to run ads. She says, no, because if we take ads, then we can't tell all of our facts.
Nice.
She's been a No Agenda listener her whole life.
Hey, man,
shows.
Take that pre-K for essay. Screw you.
Yeah. We got our own methodology.
Exactly.
Here.
We know how to do it.
I also want to say that this community, and it involves jingles, and you at the essay for pre-K for essay, you don't even know what a jingle is. I would also like to say that the community that surrounds the No Agenda is amazing.
No.
I've reached out to a few producers over the years and have never met with anything other than a friendly and helpful attitude, especially James Denifer. James
Denifer. Wow. Okay.
James Denifer of Animated No Agenda, hoping to get a meetup going here in Goldsboro, North Carolina soon. De-douching, please.
You got it.
You've been de-douched.
And a jingle request of Detective Dookie. You all played it for Leela when I donated on her first birthday, so it's her favorite.
Okay. And
give him a karma.
Of course.
Detective Dookie.
Detective Dookie.
Poop Police. SPU. Special Poopers Unit.
You've got karma.
It is dumb.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with those podcasts.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a 10-year-old doing podcasts. She's got a future ahead of her. She get that together. Sir Ben Knightus, Black Knight of Brooklyn in San Francisco. Was there a birthday in that previous one somewhere?
I don't believe so. No,
I don't think so.
No.
Sir Ben Knight. Oh, you mentioned her first birthday.
No, okay.
Black Knight of Brooklyn, San Francisco, California, even though he's Black Knight of Brooklyn, 20352. Sadly, with Catalina, I must finally move our QuickTime 732-bit. He has to move beyond QuickTime 732-bit. It's been a while since I've messed with it. Audacity. Here's a 3-second ISO.
Shoot. Was I supposed to get something?
I'm guessing yes.
I don't think I've seen this.
It's the least I can do as a Baron until I pay off the last season. We can do it later.
Yeah.
And then it's back to donating to the best podcast in the universe. Wait, never mind. I just read John's newsletter. Okay, JRE wave is over. I just donated 33% of a check I got back from the San Francisco Property Tax Board, $203.52. I used to be the Black Knight of Brooklyn, but now I'll have to check in with Dave Foley to see if I can get a Baron of San. Oh, yes, he sent me a note. I said, you can easily be the Baron of San Francisco.
You're welcome to it. Really. Have at it.
Well, he says Baron of San Francisco or Baron of Potrero Hill. No. You want to be the Baron of Potrero. You want to be the Baron of San Francisco. Nobody has requested that I know of.
I'm glad you tracked
Don't take some neighborhood.
Track that stuff, man. Definitely.
I know, Phil. Yeah, you're still obliged to deal with the Duke. I know a fellow knight, Sir Peter Boyle, also a donator to MoFax, and the guy who hit me in the mouth may be in contention. Well, you got it. I think I'm higher up in peerage, even though it's been far too long he's going on about this. So he says, it's a long time since I met you in Hoboken in the pizza joint in the first Hot Pocket store.
I remember
8 years ago.
I remember that, of course. I don't have your ISO. You'll resend it to me. Sorry, probably with the travel, but I do have this for you.
Hot Pockets.
Come on, I dug that one up. So, yes, I remember it very well, our Hot Pockets tour. Thank you, sir.
All right. So you're a Baron of San Francisco now. I think it should be updated. I'm not sure if that's...
Yes, it is an update on the title later on in the show.
Or it's about time we need a Baron of Oakland. Earl Walkman of the Buckeye, $201.07. Jingle queue up. Going to give you the whole load. Yoko Ono, and Stop the Hammering, 2 to the Head. Thank you for the 6 hours of sanity every second Sunday of the week. Please add Stereo Goat Karma for No Agenda Nation. Jeez. That's all. Earl Walkman of the Buckeye.
Okay. Although hammering, this is also, the privilege has got to...
Stop the hammering. I can do it.
No, I got it all. Just it was whole load. Yoko, Stop the Hammering. After that,
something else. I don't know.
You need to read along with me. Oh, okay. 2 to the Head.
Oh, 2 to the Head.
2 to the Head, and then Stereo Goat Karma, which is also a special request. This is not all at the ready.
I'm going to give you the whole load today.
Stop the hammering!
You've got karma.
I will say this. A lot of these jingle requests tell a story.
Yeah, they do.
They're narratives.
It's a lot of work.
It's good at most of the stuff you get on mainstream media.
It's a lot of work.
Eric Harvey from San Diego, California, $200. As a closeted small amygdala working as a researcher in the enlarged amygdala world of academia, No Agenda has been crucial to my sanity, especially over the last few months. I've often noticed that many of my colleagues get frustrated when I don't immediately share the same levels of fear and hysteria over recent world events.
Wow.
And nod your head a lot. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I could use some jobs karma as my NIH-funded postdoc fellowship is ending soon, and I've yet to be offered any of that sweet, sweet Chinese bribe money. How hard could finding a job during a global pandemic looming recession be?
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
Yay!
You've got karma.
And this final donation was the donation that we discussed on the last show, and you mailed a check to me because she mailed the check to you.
Oh, this is Victoria Peterson. Yes.
From Antioch, Illinois. We already read her note last show.
Yes, we did. And she'll be on the list today appropriately. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Victoria.
And that concludes it. That's our list.
Yeah, that's right.
2 executive producers and 110 associate executive producers.
with lots of things to communicate. But it was certainly a good distraction from, the world coming to an end. I feel much better after that.
Any minute, yeah.
A good breather. Thank you so much for being our executive and associate executive producers. Now, these credits are real. Anyone who sees that understands, what you are and what you've done. And just like Hollywood, the whole credits come early. We don't have any of the hookers, but neither does Hollywood now. You can't get hookers and
I don't
blow.
think Hollywood has hookers anymore.
No, there's nothing left for those guys. We're it. This is you're looking at the future of show business.
You have to say, Harvey Weinstein's timing was impeccable.
I agree with you, Mortimer. Such a good job he did. Please consider supporting us for our next show on Thursday. I'll be back in Austin, God willing. I presume we'll be able to just fly back. It's weird. And you can find out more information on how to support us and how to become an executive or associate executive producer or just a supporter of the show. Go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
Well, I cannot wait to see what we'll learn next on the show.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
Now, on the last show, I teased the school board dust-up.
Yeah. This was and speaking of white privilege and fragility and all of that, this was a.
So I have a few clips, and they're just kind of snippets of the kind of things that were going on at this meeting, including. I'm going to start with.
Sorry.
I mean, I could go with, I got 4 clips, and any one of them will work. I do have one that has to be the last, which is the short little bitty one at the end, but you'll get it. You'll get the point. You'll start hearing a code. I'm getting code words out of this. This is all about this book that apparently everyone has to now read, or you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, this is the white fragility book. But set this up. Who are these people? Who are these people?
These people are on a school. It's not the school board. It's an advisory council that puts together some curriculum.
Is this a paid gig, or are they just volunteers basically, or appointed?
It's a volunteer organization. I found out later.
Okay, but
it just has an elected head person, and they're all bickering with each other constantly, apparently. and you can really see the lines between social justice warriors and normal people. Let's start with EDSU doing the work.
I've done my own work, and some of you have done. I'd like to speak. I have a lot to say, but I'll keep it short. This just illustrates to me.
Okay, stop that clip. Let's bring that clip in later. I want to get some people yelling. Let's do the EDU council bickering apologize. Well, wait. Okay, let's start with this one. Okay, they start yelling at each other, and there's a Latino, the vice president, comes in, and he's really, or this guy, by the way, walked out on the meeting, even though it was a Zoom meeting. This guy's a Latinx VP, and he goes after, and he's really mad because they've been yelling at each other. Now let's go with this EDU meeting. Latino VP goes after social justice warrior.
Okay.
Nonsense that doesn't make a child learn. That doesn't teach a poor kid anything. Okay, so Ms. Broshi, before you start making accusations about me, about my one vote, you ought to get to know me. You ought to sit down and have lunch with me.
Oh,
but
heavens.
Perhaps you don't know very many Latino people, and you don't have lunch with them. Perhaps you don't know very many poor blacks to understand. So before you make these conclusions and draw these assumptions.
What assumptions had she made about him?
This part of it was not on the original clips. The part she had demeaned him in an accidental way, and she was just going off on everybody. That we're talking about this one woman who's going to come in after he berates her, and you have to imagine her. She's kind of a sizable young woman with big breasts. And she's one of these types that she has a lavalier that she's holding in front of her mouth.
My favorite.
You've seen this.
So wrong.
Idiots with lavaliers. They think it's a stand mic or something. They're holding this.
I think it's actually one of those phone, like for a mobile phone, an older version of a mobile phone where you have kind of a control unit and the microphone that's part of the wire, and she's plugged that into her computer apparently. So she's yelling in, she's holding that thing over to her mouth like an idiot.
Yeah. Okay, let's finish.
You ought to get to know me. And I'd like to get to know you. I'd like to get to know Shino. But for some reason, I don't deserve a say. And that's all I have to say. And I agree, and I support Maud Marone, and I support what she's doing with the NYSEP grant and the integration effort. And I am sure that we can get there if you just let her work, and if you, in good faith, reach out to her and to others that don't happen to disagree with your hollow and shallow diversity of pronouncements. Thank you very much.
So
let me be clear.
Edward, actually, Eric, can I please jump in? And
I'd like to give us
I want to say something because I was called out by name multiple times.
That's fine.
I want to admit I made a mistake. I want to admit, Edward, I want to apologize to you. Edward, are you going to give me a space to apologize?
Would you like me to leave?
I want to acknowledge that calling out the one vote was an example of white privilege, and it was an example of trying to silence the legitimacy of your space on this council. That was a mistake. And I am apologizing. Edward, I am apologizing, and you don't have to accept my apology. And there's work. Everyone has work to do. I have work to do. I have
work to do.
40 plus years of white supremacy I need to undo. And that was unfair of me to make that point. And I don't want to silence your voice. And your voice has merit, Edward. And I did sit with you at the before this council started, and I would talk to you again. And I'm sorry and I acknowledge that my words hurt you.
So this is, I think, around page 26 of the Industrial Society and Its Future, also known as the Unabomber's Manifesto, where he speaks of this over-socialization where everybody is going to offend everybody in some way all the time, and this is the result. Add to that the technological component of a Zoom call, which just screws up life altogether. Welcome to your future.
Let's play council bickering, apologize. More.
Jeez, this is so much better than the clips I would have made, so I'm glad you did that, because I didn't see any of this part of it. This is dynamite.
One of the things we should all learn to do, and I'm learning to do this, when somebody tells you that you did something wrong, the first thing to do is reflect on that and then apologize.
Kick him in the nuts. Okay.
Even if you don't agree, you apologize. That's what Robin did.
Oh.
That is what you do when somebody says you did something wrong and you hurt them. You're supposed to say, I'm sorry. And that's how that works, Tom. Some people said you hurt them. You may not agree, but the least you can do is, I'm sorry I hurt you. That is what grown-ups do.
Oh.
So it's okay for you to call Tom not grown-up now? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you can be the judge of it. What do grown-ups do when somebody says, you hurt me, and you don't apologize?
Wow. And these people are indirectly involved with the education of your children.
The joke of this, by the way, this guy Tom, who she's targeting, who I don't have any clips from him because he's too reasonable. He makes this assertion. So Tom comes on and says, "Oh, okay. Well, then I felt hurt that you condemned me there. I want your apology."
Yeah.
And no one would apologize to him. The apologies only go one way.
Oh, I see. So no one. Oh my.
No one would apologize to Tom because Tom's a dick apparently. So they didn't like that. So that's the bickering apologies. And then we had this kind of shaved head Asian woman, and this is the doing the work clip, which is the key word. I want people to realize that the code word is doing the work. Which means reading that stupid book, by the way.
I can incorporate this into my sentence. Excuse me. Have you not done the work? Are you using your privilege?
And I'm going to get to that, the parallel of that.
This is
after
fantastic.
This clip, or after the two clips.
We are learning good stuff here, people.
I've done my own work, and some of you have done. I'd like to speak. I have a lot to say, but I'll keep it short. This just illustrates to me the need for anti-racism training, because some of you definitely, including myself, actually, I would say all of us, don't have the language to really talk about this in a way that's constructive and productive and growth-oriented. And I have done my own work, and some of you have done work with the CEC. Marisol hosted Courageous Conversations, and some of you attended. Clearly, we need more of it. And that was really the intent of my letter to you, Maude. I don't see you doing the work.
Oh, my goodness. Well, just hold on a second. I don't care. You can't say anything. That was without a doubt. That was it.
Clip of the day.
I cannot believe, well, I can, sadly, I can believe this, but this has to stop. The tears will come, people. This will not end well. And this is destructive. This is destroying people. And what good is it doing anybody?
Well, it's making some people
it's making
better,
money, and it's making a lot of money.
Last clip.
Yeah. right.
And there's a 4-second clip, which I just wanted so you get it. This is another person. These are all different people.
Yeah.
And this is the last one that I recorded, which just to summarize, she's got it nailed.
Bridge divides to learn what I need to learn to do the work.
Do the work. Okay. It hit me. Where have I heard this phrase before? You've got to do the work, doing the work. It's about the work. Are you ready? Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
I lived with an actress for several years. The entire acting community is about doing the work. You've got to do the work to be able to get to that place to do this role, doing the work. It's taken directly from Strasberg. Strasberg, who's the Lee Strasberg, isn't that the...
Yeah, the trainer.
Acting, yeah, the training coach. Yeah, the method actors. This is method acting. They are teaching the method acting.
Well, doing the work is actually referring to what they really mean when they say it in this context. Read that stupid book.
Read the book.
If you don't read the book, you're not doing the work. Doing the work. This is the closest thing I've seen, and I would attribute it to this book and this woman who is going around giving her seminars. This is very reminiscent of the seminars you would get in the 70s. And that sprang out of Earhart sensitivity training.
Yes.
EST.
EST. Yeah, that's what it was.
These are all EST. This is a rewrite of how EST worked, only it's a little more targeted. But it's the same kind of thing. They sit you in the room, they brainwash. It's a brainwashing session, very well done. I've gone through a couple of them. When I was at the Air Pollution District, they made us go through one. It was some variation. But they're great. And I can see how people get caught up in it. The next thing you know, you're going broke. You got no more money. It's all going to EST. And they haven't got that angle down yet, but they're getting there because you can never finish. That's the problem. When you get stuck in this one of these, you got to keep going to seminars. You got to take more courses. And the key word back then, I used to use it all the time because when I was at InfoWars, we had an Esty nutball working there. He was one of the writers. And I kind of, he'd talk about it. And he's kind of, well, why are you getting out of this? We all, most of us thought it was nuts. And I thought it was nuts. But the key word that you could use on people to make them think that you are part of the cult is, have you had the training? Oh. You could say, have you had the training?
Oh, man, that is, yes, I've done the work. Have you done the training? And was it not in the series The Americans that guy got wrapped up in EST as well on the show?
Oh, I never, people keep telling me I've never watched the series, but that's quite possible.
And so, it's about Russian spies in the United States in the 70s.
During that era.
Yeah,
that's when you would get wrapped up in it.
Wow, this is so good. So it's really kind of a cycle. It's a fractal, and it's holdover. Many of these people must be the same people who are.
I bet you there's plenty of them.
Coming into
this. They know the old tricks, the old techniques, the training method.
Yeah.
Only now it's the work. It's not the training. It used to be the training. Have you had the training? Have you had the training? Have you had the training?
Yeah.
Now it's the work. Have you done the work? Have you done the work? Have you done the work? It's just a different code word, but that's the code. And all you have to say, yes, I've done the work. And okay, he's one of us. He's one of the pod people.
Okay, let me try it. Excuse me. I've done the work. Are you using your privilege to assume that I'm white?
Oh, wow.
It's a double whammy, baby. Yeah, it goes all the way through. So I'm not even claiming I'm not white.
Oh, that is dynamite.
I can't wait to try it.
Yeah. Tears are violence, man.
Holy crap. Oh, man.
Well, we're watching a rerun of this bull crap from the 70s with these people.
Yeah.
And they're just rolling in money like they used to. The tricks always worked. It was all the little spin-offs of EST, and there were a ton of them.
But John, but think about it. So you have EST, all these little tricks, and we should probably consider highlighting them because these are amplified through the mechanisms of social media. They're amplified. So when you do the work, you get lots of likes. Then all the neuro triggers go, and so this is highly addictive. of course, it never ends well, as you can tell. I mean, what's happening here is a complete meltdown. And then what happens? Then you have to get on antidepressants or some other thing. It's very destructive.
You're already screwed up if you're easily suckered.
Yeah, but we've look, we're old white dudes, the most hated people in America, because maybe some sense is coming out. This is a generation that grew up with the likes and the follows and the notifications and the bells and whistles. You just tie it into something very easily.
Well,
and then add some authority figures.
This is some heavy duty thinking that went into this, and it doesn't surprise me that the woman who wrote White Fragility is a psychologist or so. She knows about these tricks. This is applied psychology. It used to be, people didn't like to talk about it, but the CIA knows about it. The idea was it's not psychology, it's applied psychology. In other words, you use psychology to manipulate people. Yeah. And that's what's going on here. People are being manipulated by this, and you see the results of these meetings, and they're disruptive. And the people that are being disrupted, the normal people like that the only guy, the method guy there, plus Tom, who was berated, and there was one other guy who was a defender. There was two sides of this thing. You could see clearly there was 4 people that were social justice types and 4 people that weren't. And the people that weren't, and I have to say this just across the board, don't know what's going on. No. Don't know what's hitting them. Don't know how it works.
And really, the only way you can protect yourself is by sticking close to us.
No, the bit you just did, that is your armor. You can do that. And that guy kind of did that in that one clip where he says, "Wait, are you accusing Tom of being immature?"
Right.
You know? And that was using the language against it, but you can't do it in this. The problem, the way I see it, doing that kind of thing in the way I would do it, my snide, sarcastic manner. I'm an old guy, I can do it.
Right.
But that is not the way to do it. I'm just do it that way because I don't care.
Right. So,
but the way you describe doing it, that's the way to do it.
I'm going to refine it yet again. I've done the work, and I am surprised that you use your privilege to assume that I am white.
Yes, that's even better. That's a dynamite thing to say to somebody.
I think you have to step
but that only works if somebody's calling you white,
racist,
There's got to be some other
white supremacist.
That mechanism is just a baseline, I think, for a lot of mechanisms that can be developed that would all push people back. There was some guy, I think it was Ohio State or some college. This is a clip from like years ago when these kids came in demanding this and demanding that. And he used the idea of you're in my space, and he threw all the same cornball stuff back at it.
I love that.
Now I feel unsafe. Just told these kids, and they all got out and left. They didn't follow up on it at all. They just left. I don't feel safe.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. And I think we have an example of one of these in this ongoing Massachusetts boycott of Whole Foods. Remember, I remarked that they had this really cute young woman who was doing all the talking about the Black Lives Matter face masks, which were not allowed.
Yeah.
So she's back in the picture now. This is 2 weeks later, or maybe a week or 10 days later. And I'm thinking she is trained, and it's too bad we don't have video because it's one of the few times her name is Savannah something or other. Just listen to this
training that's going on.
Listen to this report because she's good. She's really good.
Customers and employees boycotting side by side outside of the Whole Foods in Cambridge.
We've been told to take our masks off or leave without pay.
It's going on day 18. Some employees walking off the job daily after being reprimanded by management for wearing Black Lives Matter face masks at work.
I think they should let us support any kind of movement that is human rights,
not this one,
and that's equal rights. Until their bottom line is hurt and they see that people care, I don't think they're going to change.
Even the most loyal of shoppers are changing their minds about the company, standing in solidarity with employees.
I feel completely uncomfortable giving them any of my dollars.
Ooh.
So we've stopped shopping here.
A Whole Foods spokesperson told CBS News their dress code policy prohibits visible slogans, messages, or logos unrelated to the company, but their employees disagree.
Wear gay pride pins. We wear.
Here she is.
We wear Red Sox masks. We wear Bruins masks.
Really?
We're encouraged to, and I can't understand why they're not changing this policy because it's so small.
Even though some of these employees are on the verge of losing their jobs, they vow to continue to walk out and to speak out until changes are made.
I think that's and it's called a false equivalency, to use one of those great new words, to say that representing sports pride for your town or your state is equal to Black Lives Matter political statement. In fact, it's actually kind of demeaning. It's kind of demeaning. So it's, well, just like sports team, man.
This is one of those situations, unfortunately, I've said this before, it should have happened at Evergreen, where the kids should have been expelled. Because a kid getting into college and then getting expelled from college has to go home to their parents and say, I got expelled. Mm-hmm. Why did you get expelled? There's no good reason. They should just shut that Whole Foods down and leave town.
Yeah. It's been 18 days, almost 3 weeks.
No, I'd shut it down. I mean, Bezos has got the money. He doesn't care.
Shut it down.
Shut the Whole Foods down and leave these people, let them screw them, and then make sure that's on their record. They managed to shut down the store.
Oh, no, but Bezos is in the same spot, man. He's running commercials showing how good they are for the green earth and how good they are for Black Lives Matters and $2 million here.
Realizes that Bezos even owns Whole Foods.
This is happening. Bezos is in trouble, too. He's in trouble. They're camping outside his house.
He's got to close that store.
All right. Luckily, we have a complete disruption coming on the scene. And this is real. I have a lot of respect for what he's doing, and I think there's a method to the madness.
He famously
This is Reuters.
sang that no one man should have all that power, but it seems like rapper Kanye West wants some of it, announcing on Saturday that he would run for president in 2020. Although it was not immediately clear if West was serious about vying for the presidency just 4 months out from the election, or if he had filed any official paperwork to appear on state election ballots. He posted on Twitter, "We must now realize the promise of America by trusting God, unifying our vision and building our future. I am running for president of the United States." The deadline to add independent candidates to the ballot has not yet passed in many states. West and his wife Kim Kardashian West have visited Donald Trump in the White House, and he already has at least one high-profile supporter. Tesla CEO Elon Musk replying to the tweet, "You have my full support."
Okay. I got to tell you, I've analyzed this guy. I like him a lot. I liked what he did when he went into the Oval Office and he was talking about the 14th Amendment. And of course, people call him nuts. And already TMZ has launched the headline, "Kanye West in midst of bipolar episode, family concerned," according to sources who are familiar with their thinking, that kind of stuff. This is a very interesting move. He's a billionaire, by the way. He is a very wealthy, very successful guy. He comes across as nuts, and the media will portray him as however they want to portray him, the same they did for Donald Trump. He has maybe not certainly no shot of becoming president for 2020. This is the wind-up. This is a warm-up for Kanye for 2024, and he's a great choice because, and I vote for Vermin Supreme. I like his platform. Everybody gets a free pony. I love the outfit, and it keeps me unaffiliated so we can do this show with clear conscience and heart. But Kanye, wow. So you don't have to vote for Trump for all the things you don't really like about Trump, of being just a douche sometimes and being cringy. But Kanye's not going to beat Trump, but it'll certainly take away a vote from Biden. That is a very powerful position, and Kanye will have some power. Maybe it's 1% of the black vote, ADOS in this case. Who knows? He'll have some piece because a lot of people take him seriously, as do I. And this is a Ross Perot game changer for this election. And hello, he's a black man. He gets no A black man running for president. He doesn't get any serious interviews, really, in Forbes, like a kind of literal reprint of him saying wacky stuff, the same way they do about Trump. That's because they take him seriously, too. They know he's a detriment to the whole idea of hiding Joe in the basement and having a unity, consensus, technocrat government surrounding him, because that's what they're setting up. It's going to suck.
It's going to suck.
Yeah, come on.
What's going to suck?
If Joe Biden wins with whatever, this whole unity, have you seen? I have a clip here. Hold on a second. This is the Biden-Sanders Unity Task Force, and they rolled out the platform.
A task force set up by Joe Biden, the presumptive Democratic nominee for president, and former presidential contender Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, an independent, released a sweeping set of platform recommendations on Wednesday that lays out a progressive roadmap for Democrats, the one that falls short of Sanders' push for radical change. The task force, which was launched in May, laid out its platform recommendations on a number of key issues, including climate change, criminal justice reform, immigration policies, healthcare, education, and the economy in a 110-page document.
If you're wondering where all the toilet paper went, apparently The Hill used it to have their voiceover people talk through when they're recording their articles.
Not as bad as Biden.
Bring me some Biden.
All right, so Biden gave this speech in some little town in...
This was a big deal. He came out of the basement. He was out all of a sudden. Like, whoa,
and so nobody mic'd him right. They played live streams on CNBC or one of them. CNBC, I think, CNN. I know the Washington Post. They won't play a live Trump thing, but the Washington Post even streamed it on YouTube. And this is the best I could get. And this is. Not only that, but it started raining during the thing.
Oh, gosh.
So everyone had to come inside and violate the rules. And at the end of the thing, I should mention that they got these big circles. You're supposed to stand in a circle because every circle is 6 feet apart.
Right.
And so that looked idiotic. And then, of course, when the thing was over, they all mingled. I mean, come on. Make up your minds. So it started raining, and then Biden was freaked out by this. And so he thought it was raining. He didn't think it was raining. He kind of lost his sense of things because the whole speech was read from a prompter, and he walked off immediately, took no questions.
No, he couldn't ad-lib about the rain.
But even in the process of doing this, he still screwed up, of course. So this is the part where it starts raining, and Biden kind of freaks out. Ad-libs.
And labor, unions, the only one that have that capacity to do it. If that's raining outside, come on in, guys. Don't want anybody out there. Are you guys in the rain?
Oh my gosh.
Or is that not rain? I thought that was rain. It is? You guys can come on in. Don't stay out there. But look, determination, resilience, and grit. The strength to get up no matter how many times you get knocked down. Respect for hard work and for the people who do it. These are the values I grew up with and all of you have grown up with.
Wow.
Mike, the rain was better mic'd.
And it kind of reminded me, let me see if I can do this. Let me see if this will work.
The only one that have that capacity to do it. That's raining outside. Come on in, guys. Don't want anybody out there. You guys are ready?
Oh my gosh, Joe.
Is that not rain? I thought that was rain. It is?
Yeah. Little walking in the rain, Ronettes. I mean, this is beautiful. It gives you such a vision of a powerful new leader.
Yeah, the guy, and this is unbelievable. I got the one gaffe. This is his Great Depression gaffe. Listen to this.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
This will be a mobilization of R&D and procurement investment in ways not seen since the Great Depression of World War II.
Whoa.
Not seen since the Great Depression of World War II. What depression was that, Joe?
I got to make sure he was saying that. This is a fact check. We need to fact check.
This will be a mobilization of R&D and procurement investment in ways not seen since the Great Depression and World War II.
He said of. He wanted to say or. I know this was on the prompter. It said the Great Depression or World War II.
Yeah, he misread it. He can't debate Trump, which is why they're already pushing that.
They're going to get out of the debate. You watch.
There's not going to be. There's going to be voting by mail. There's going to be. Shoot. You know what? No. We're going to watch out. Some kind of genius blockchain invention is coming, and we're all going to vote on the blockchain while we have our masks on, making love to our partners. Oh, I'm sorry, not us, because you and I are out on the street, white man.
So I did find a thing that Norah O'Donnell interviewed some time ago. This is about I'd say maybe a year ago. Mm-hmm. Or no, actually, it's just before he got all his votes needed to be the nominee, and he was in the studio, and it was actually pretty. It was pretty. It was succinct, kind of, but there's something in this clip that I wanted to play, and this is. This is the fact that he won't. This is in June, and he wouldn't answer a question where Trump's name was invoked. And it was actually a good question. It wasn't a Trump question. It was just a comment that Trump made that she wanted him to respond to. He refused to say anything about it because it's Trump, and she never called him back on it. This is very poor job by Norah O'Donnell here.
Do you believe there is systemic racism in law enforcement?
Absolutely. But it's not just in law enforcement, it's across the board. It's in housing, it's in education, it's in everything we do. It's real. It's genuine. It's serious. Look, not all law enforcement officers are racist. My Lord, there's some really good cops out there. But the way in which it works right now, we've seen too many examples of it.
Do you support defunding the police?
No, I don't support defunding the police. I support conditioning federal aid to police based on whether or not they meet certain basic standards of decency and honorableness, and in fact are able to demonstrate they can protect the community and everybody in the community.
Does it hurt Democrats' cause if there are some in your party that are saying defund the police? The president is suggesting that shows Democrats are weak in terms of law and order.
The president has no credibility on anything. He lies. He's the first person anyone can think of in modern history who's taken regular military officers and had them move against peaceful demonstrators, causing 4 former chiefs of staff to say, this guy's bad, this guy's wrong, he should just stop.
Wait a minute. It was the National Guard, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He says the military.
It was officers. You officers get out there and stop those protesters.
I thought it was generals. He made the generals do it.
Generals, you get out there, do some work. You're not doing anything.
Oh, my goodness. Joe. Well, if you think that's the problem, and we'll just kind of continue this thread for a moment, ABC News has found out that our national parks are, in fact, problematic, which, and I have a new term for us, this situation with the natural parks needs to be normalized. Or this can't be normalized. Depends on how you want to use it.
The sweeping vistas stir the soul. Wildlife and waterfalls awaken a sense of wonder. The American wilderness, a playground for old and for young, and overwhelmingly white.
When you look around, you don't see people that you identify with. You don't feel welcome. You feel out of place. You feel literally like you are an outsider.
Ambreen Tarek is founder of Brown People Camping. When she was 8 years old, her family moved from India to Minnesota, where she fell in love with the outdoors. 20 years later, she's still astonished not to see more people like her.
Some people might say, isn't this just that people of color don't like to camp?
Yeah. And to that, I would say, no, right? That's a generalization. And just because something isn't happening or the presence of someone is missing does not mean they don't want to be there.
To many Americans of color, parks, campgrounds, and forest land are stubborn bastions of self-segregation.
Damn. Do you think this is true? Is there some truth to this? Seems wild, this accusation.
That blacks don't like to camp?
Yeah, John. That was my question.
That was a very strange report.
Oh, and it went on for 7 minutes. It was very in-depth.
Huh.
And I don't know. Well, I know who to ask, of course. But I'd never really thought about that. And I've been in national parks.
Why don't you bring it up on the next show?
Yeah. I've been around national parks a lot. I don't know. It always seems pretty diverse to me. But maybe it's tourists. I don't know. Who knows? But so national parks are problematic.
Huh. Well, anyway, that's a showstopper. Whatever. I don't know what you did there, but you stopped the show.
I didn't mean to stop the show.
Well, let's just play this clip, which I don't even know what it is. But it's sitting here and it's just beckoning, called "Fake Racists."
Okay. Well, now this could pick us up out of this show-stopping moment.
Raymond DeRosa and his family were having dinner on his wife's birthday, July 4th, at Carmel Valley restaurant Lucia.
We were there just celebrating, having fun.
When that fun quickly disappeared, as the man you can see in the background of the celebratory picture began ranting.
Suddenly I hear this loud voice, effing Asians.
Arosa's niece, Jordan Chan, recorded what happened next on her cell phone.
Say that again. Oh, now you're shy?
Michael Lofthouse gave the family the finger, then said,
You
need to leave.
Oh, you do not talk to our guests like that. You need to leave.
Asian piece of
Oh my God.
He was full of hate and anger. It's sad that there's still people that are like that in this world, let alone in this country.
A Lucia employee quickly stepped in.
Wait a minute. Where did this trauma-based entertainment take place?
In Carmel at the Bernardus Lodge.
And who's the white person of this fracas? Because that's how it's usually put together.
This white person all the news covered him as a prominent Silicon Valley CEO of a company, a cloud-based company out of San Francisco, which is where the story gets interesting. But you've wrapped that up, and I'll tell you what the deal is.
Our guests like that. Get out now.
Who are these?
They are value guests.
Oh, are they?
Yeah,
they're value guests.
Yeah.
I admire her for that.
In an emailed statement, the vice president and general manager of Bernardus Lodge and Spa in part writes, quote, "We are proud of our staff at Lucia in keeping with Bernardus Lodge's core values." Michael Lofthouse also issued a statement writing, quote, "My behavior in the video is appalling. This was clearly a moment where I lost control and made incredibly hurtful and divisive comments. I would like to deeply apologize to the Chan family. I can only imagine the stress and pain they feel. I was taught to respect people of all races, and I will take the time to reflect on my actions and work to better understand the inequality that so many of those around me face every day."
He's just saving face, I think. I think he really meant what he said and what he did. I don't believe his words, because his actions speak louder than the words he's saying.
Arosa says those actions in part include additional Instagram comments that appear to have been posted by Lofthouse directed at one of the family's supporters that include Asian expletive and "come near me or my people and you are expletive dead." Lofthouse did not respond to a request for an additional comment about the Instagram post or his role as Solid 8 CEO, a San Francisco-based tech company.
I can't say what he did was acceptable or right. No, it isn't. It isn't, because a lot of people will probably disagree with me by saying I forgive him, but I do.
Okay, well, this is an interesting case that we have on our hands.
And you heard her. He's the CEO of Solid 8, a San Francisco-based tech company.
Yeah. You've looked them up, the Solid 8?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I looked them up.
All right. What's going on here?
I looked up everything.
Is this a hate
crime?
First,
I had to find out where they're located. And I sent a note to this. This is an ABC report. I sent a note to the reporter saying, give me the address of where they are where this company is in San Francisco. Do you have it? The San Francisco-based tech company is San Francisco-based.
Yeah.
He started this company 2 years ago out of his house in Los Gatos, and now it runs out of a mail drop from in a shopping mall in Los Gatos, and it's the AIM the AIM mailbox company.
Oh.
He's got his box number. He doesn't have a company that I can tell. But
This is like
the founder and
it's a porn
CEO.
company. This is a porn company. Come on.
I don't even think it's that. It's Solid8. He does have a website. You can go to, I think it's solid8.net or something, or TV or some solid8.info. I don't know. And it's just a dead site. It was put together through GoDaddy anonymously, and it's been open. I don't know. The site's only
So
been
they
up
spend
since.
all this time on ABC, your local ABC station, showing this guy, racist Silicon Valley's CEO. What is up?
Yeah, and then it also ran in USA Today. It ran in Gizmodo, had a whole piece on it, which called the President of the United States a white supremacist. I mean, this is completely nuts. This guy's, as far as I can tell, this guy doesn't have a business. I mean, he has it is an LLC that's registered with the state of California through that mailbox in Los Gatos, which is supposed to be the office. And I don't know what the deal is.
What's the goal here?
Canned apology this guy had. It was a canned apology. How is this even a news story? This is a sham.
So what is this? Is this a jab at the real Silicon Valley to say, hey, we're just warming up over here. This is what we can do?
I don't know. Who
owns Gizmodo?
They went after Asians for a reason.
Who owns Gizmodo?
Gizmodo's owned by that company that was after Gawker Media fell apart.
Is that Peter Thiel? Did Peter Thiel buy it all?
I don't think so. This is the one that Jezebel's also part of this operation.
China?
So there's a bunch of social justice warriors.
China?
I'll find the quote and put it in the newsletter. It's pretty pathetic. But this is a scam of some sort, and I can't put my finger on why or what it is, or maybe just the publicity stunt for the guy.
Well, that's a really lame way to go about getting some publicity for your cloud-based company.
What's the publicity going to accomplish? Don't do publicity stunts unless it makes you money or sells books.
Exactly.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Getting parched. Ryan Smith's at the top of the list for the guys we want to thank for show 1259. And he comes in from Raleigh, North Carolina. Good old Raleigh, 188.33. And he made it to knighthood.
Yowza.
He's going to be Sir Jerry Curl, Knight of the All Things Greasy.
Yes, indeed.
And he wants root beer floats and Jaeger schnitzel at the knighting ceremony.
Yeah, I already pre-ordered that, so we're good.
Okay, good. Christopher Bolton in Newcastle, under Lyme in Staffordshire, UK. 137.17. I do have to read what he says. Keep up the adequate work. He's an understated Brit.
The adequate work.
Sir Knight of the Marshlands in Marshland, Wisconsin, 129.50. Joe Campagna in Ontario, Canada. He's got some jobs karma at the end for you. $111.11. Joe Anthony Cole, or Coate, in Manchester, New Hampshire. $100, and he, I think, wants a de-douching.
We're giving it to him.
You've been de-douched.
Dame Ashley, Lady of the Lake in Mayfield Heights, Ohio, is $100. Rob Van Dyke, $100 from him. He's in Holland.
Holland, for sure.
Sir Timothy, $99.99. Dame Jennifer.
There
she
is.
Said it again.
What is going on with that? You're flustered by Dame Jennifer.
Dame Jennifer.
Jame
83.
Jennifer. What is she? Well, let's see. What does she say? Let me see what she says. Let me see what she says.
Yeah, she's got something to say.
In the morning, more value for value from you all from Animated No Agenda. My LGY. My dad would have been 83 on July 11th. Effing cancer. Happy birthday in paradise. We miss you here in Clown World. Bet you're glad you are missing. Hold on. Let me expand that cell. You are missing the chaos. Pronounced Chouse of 2020. XOXO Dame Jennifer. Ah, that's so nice.
Sir Herb Lamb, the Viscount of Georgia, Baron of Beaufort Dam in Sugar Hill, Georgia.
And he's got a human resource Max who he wishes a happy birthday on the list.
He also says I'd like to call him out as a douchebag.
Okay. All right. Now, this
next kid, you're supposed to be paying his way. Thanks for the excellent continued coverage of the pandemic. A lot of people like that, of course.
Now, this next one, Steve Webb, I just need to stop for a moment. Steve Webb is OG. I think he was the original one of the original Godcasters when we were just starting, 2004, 2005. And it's 7777. He's in Riverside, California. Just read a little bit of his note. As you're well aware, Adam, you changed my life when you wrote the first little Apple script that was the beginning of podcasting. Now, almost 16 years later, and over 2,000 podcast episodes later, what you began is still taking up far too many hours of my life. He says he took a few years off, but he felt the calling to return to producing more content. Lifespringmedia.com. That's what I was getting to. And he's doing 10 episodes. And I don't think he's donated, but he wanted to say hi and he wanted to support the show. And I want to give him a de-douching for that.
You've been de-douched.
Welcome back.
Onward with Baron Mark Tanner, as usual. Comes in with $76.54 twice a month from Whittier, California.
Thank you, sir.
Sir Saskatchewan and Gitmo Knight of the Living Skies in Saskatchewan, 69.69. Sir Jim Zukel, 69.69. Beverly Hills. Sir Slarda Bard Fast.
Yes, very important.
I'm not pronouncing that right.
Yes, you are. Slarda Bard Fast. You got it.
Of the crinkly bits in Hope, Rhode Island, 6543. 2 Rhode Islanders today. Sir Kyle Meyer in Atlanta, Georgia, 60. Troy Watson in Western Shore, Nova Scotia, 5575. Darren Christie in Spokane, Washington, 5150. Nathan Payne in Paragon, Indiana, 5032. Got a birthday for Mrs. Future Dame Payne.
There you go.
Jordan Veal of 5001. He's a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
And the following people are $50 donors, name and location, if I have it. Jonathan Ferris in Liberal, Kansas, and Robert Decanay in Fairfax, Virginia. George Wojcik in Universal City, Texas. Robert Kerbach in Essexville, Michigan. Stephen Shoemaker, or Make. It looks like Make, but it should be Shoemaker, I think, in Xenia, Ohio. Drew Mochak in Mountain View, California. Rawson Touchkoff in London, UK. Brian Shop in Lenexa, Kansas. I think there used to be famous pottery made there. Jeremy Silver in Stratford, Connecticut. Jesse Hall in Friendswood, Texas. Kimberly Redmond in Toronto, Ontario. Yair Moore in Basel. I think that's
Basel,
Switzerland. Basel, Switzerland. He is also got a birthday list, and he needs a de-douching.
Yeah, we got that.
You've been
we have to... did you do an interview with him?
I did.
He interviewed you and plugged the podcast on Israel's most prominent financial newspaper in 2012.
Yes, I did.
All right. Nice. Good work.
And then Clayton Dunavant in Greenfield, Wisconsin, 50. And keep on the great job, by the way, our Israeli friend says.
Very nice.
Okay, that would be concluding our 12:59 show. I want to thank all these folks for producing the show and keeping us going.
And I have a quick make good for Senor Miguel, who we highlighted as executive producer or maybe associate executive producer on the last show. Missed the jobs karma. Good, because you'll share it with everybody who needs it. Here it comes.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
And thank you also everybody who came in under $50 for anonymity, or you're on one of the programs that is a subscription and that just keeps turning over, and you keep supporting the work and you keep helping produce the best podcast in the universe. 13 years and counting. To learn more, go to
Dvorak.org/NA. It's your birthday on No Agenda.
And here we go. So for the 12th of July 2020, we have Yair Moore, who celebrates today, as does Chuck, hashtag blessed of the Cavity aficionados. Miss Future Dame Payne says happy birthday to her smoking hot husband, Nathan Payne. He celebrates tomorrow. Jamie Stinson says happy birthday to his smoking hot Anna. Sir Paul, the trusted advisor, turns 33. Sir Herb Lamb's son, Max, will be 19 on the 19th. Emily Shade celebrates on the 14th. And Sir Knives of the Providence Plantations will be 32 tomorrow. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. Let me see. Yeah, just one nighting. But that doesn't mean that we don't need our blade. I've got the travel version here, so if you can compensate.
Hold on a second.
Can you compensate? Okay. Oh, that's compensation. No, that's a big one. Very nice. All right then, Ryan Smith. Very nice to have you here on the podium. As you obtain your knighthood, you join the exquisite roundtable of the No Agenda Knights and Dames, and I'm very proud to pronounce the Sir Jerry Curl, Knight of the No Agenda Roundtable. For you, we have the requisite hookers and blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, but also by request, root beer floats and Jaeger Schnitzel. If you'd like to add to that, we could always bring some cold brew coffee and cannabis, bourbon and bong rips, trophies and tires, smoked onion rings and ice cream, kebab and Persian wine, Polish potato vodka, redhead and rise. We got bong hits and bourbon, sparkling cider and escorts, ginger ale and gerbils, but there is always the one favorite, mutton and mead. Enjoy that, and you know to go to noagendanation.com/rings to give Eric the Shill and the back office all your information so we can get you your signet ring, handsome No Agenda Knight or Dame signet ring with the sealing wax and your official certificate. And thank you so much for producing the No Agenda Show, the best podcast in the universe.
Title changes, turn and face the slave. Title changes, don't want to be a douchebag.
Yes, we have Sir Ben Nidus, Black Knight of Brooklyn, becomes the Baron of San Francisco, as you heard earlier. That is now approved by the Peerage Committee. And what were we still looking for? We were looking for Oakland, I guess.
Oakland would be great.
Okay, Oakland, that is. And thank you very much, Baron of San Francisco, for, of course, producing this program and the best podcast in the universe.
No agenda.
All right. Well, we do have 2 meetup reports, which are always appreciated from meetups that took place in the past few days. I believe we go to Northeast Ohio first.
Hello from the Northeast Ohio meetup. We are taking refuge in North Canton because Summit County and Cuyahoga County are both closed for business. This is Sir Christopher of Macedonia saying hi and in the morning, and I'll pass the phone around.
This is Sir Teetsy. This is the Earl Walkman. In the morning.
Oh, this is Dame Ashley, Lady of the Lake. Hi,
there
John.
she is. Whoa, hello, John. I think someone's smiling at you.
Dame Ashley, how you doing?
Earl Walkman. In the morning.
Oh, this is Dame Ashley, Lady of the Lake. Hi, John.
This is Sir Real Estate. In the morning. This is Sir David C. Pugh. In the morning, fellas.
This is dude named Jay, and I want to go where I'm with all the knights and dames.
I am not a sir and really don't believe deserve to be on here. And I think you're getting an alarm.
I am getting an alarm. My wife calling, wondering where I am right in the middle of it.
Sir Joe, we want here in the morning.
In the morning, John and Adam.
In the morning, Adam Denicola.
In the morning, Brian Backus. Bring back 69, dude.
Douchebag Kyle, Ghislaine Maxwell didn't kill herself tomorrow.
In the morning, this is Douchebag Jim.
Drew Sample, Northland and Columbus, Ohio.
Big.
Sparky Johnson, Sandusky, Ohio.
Boris Ungerleader, somewhere.
What?
Joe Bertolini, Akron, Ohio.
I think I got everyone, so this is again, Sir Christopher signing off from now Canton, Ohio. In the morning.
Wow, man. I think they had 21 people or something. It was off the hook.
That's pretty amazing.
I love that. And this is all just...
They go from place to place as they shut down behind them.
I know. And they're running like breaking the law on the Lamb, the No Agenda producer meetup in Northeast Ohio, where they're all clumsy together. We also have a somewhat shorter report from Seattle.
This is Patrick at the Seattle meetup, and half of us are still here.
Hey, in the morning, this is Sir Art Vandelay, and we are having a good time.
Hey, it's Sir the original douchebag from Seattle, Washington. Hey, coming at you from WKRP in Seattle.
I'm Kel. I was hit in the mouth by one Jonathan Colton, and I am a colossal fucking douchebag.
Okay.
I don't watch the podcast.
We're gonna hit him in the mouth.
Hey, this is Will. Hit him in the mouth. Hey, this is Thomas. Donald Trump, don't trust China. China's asshole.
Hey, this is Bryce. And believe it or not everybody in Seattle is crazy.
It sounds like there's some good ones up there. That's so cool. And I understand this. And I'm going to the next Austin meetup. It's important. You want to get out. You want to talk to people that at least won't look at you. You don't have to worry about them. You know, hey, if you want to wear a mask, if you want to wear a hazmat suit, no one's going to care at the meetup. If you want to have nothing, no one's going to care. You're just going to be together. You can talk. You can't talk with anyone anymore. You can't talk with your own kids. It's nuts. Hey, here's the rest of the meetups as they're scheduled for today. We still have the Alexandria, Virginia meetup. I guess it might be ongoing as we speak. Hi, guys. And that was Sir William of West Pennsylvania. Probably also, still go tonight. No, it's probably busy as well. Stu at the Mosta Dome in Malta. I hope that went okay. Then we have coming up Friday on the 17th, Montreal, Quebec, 6 o'clock. Hey Citizen organizing for you. The venue is TBD, so go to noagendameetups.com. Also on Friday in Croatia at the Adriana Bar, Alex will be organizing at 7 p.m. Central European Time Zone. I can't wait to get a report from that meetup. Western New York Local 8008, The Boob at 2 p.m. on July 18th. ETA, Eastern Time, help us plan this, says Sir Roadwolf Baron of Western New York. So go to noagendameetups.com. If there isn't a meetup there on the list, and we have many more in the future, you can just start one. It's fun, and cool people come out, and it'll be very good for your mental well-being during this global lockdown. In fact, it's like a party.
Sometimes you wanna go hang out with all the nights and days. You wanna be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You wanna be where everybody feels the same. It's like a party.
I wanted to take a moment, got three clips actually, of Chris Fenton. And I also have two clips. Chris Fenton is a producer. He like a movie producer, big time. He did some of the Marvel stuff, Iron Man, couple other movies. And he, as the story goes, was so tired of kowtowing to the CCP, as all of Hollywood does, that he's written a book, of course, which he is now promoting. And I have not read it yet, but I look forward to. And here's just a couple of clips of him talking about the hoops that they had to go through to have access to the Chinese market, which is really where all the money is. You know, since the Clinton administration, that's what the deals have been all about. So from Hollywood to the sports world, the NBA, without China, without access, and they take advantage of their position. And they will cut you off, as we saw with the Hong Kong NBA fracas, which don't talk about that anymore. So here he is talking about, I think this is Iron Man.
One of the things that China was extremely strict on us about was if you're going to have access to this market and you're going to have access to market and promote this movie far beyond most movies, you need to shoot the movie here. You know, not all of it, but parts of it. And you need to have what they call first unit people over, which means having Don Cheadle and Gwyneth Paltrow and Robert Downey Jr. and having our director over there and showcasing the movie by shooting it, you know, so many days in that market and having a certain amount of the movie take place in China in the final cut. Unfortunately, what happened, Robert Downey Jr. got hurt during that production. So we lost a lot of potential shooting days that we could have done in China. So we ended up shooting just second unit material in the market. And we did certain things that, you know, with the CCP's, you know, guidance to try to showcase the amount of movie making we were doing in that market and the amount of people that we were hiring with those second unit shots that were Chinese, and the amount of skill set and exchange that we were doing to help them build their own film industry, right? Because remember that CCP is about how do we govern 1.4 billion people and keep them just happy enough that they don't revolt, right? You can't make them all happy. There's not enough resources on Earth. So how do you keep them just happy enough that they don't revolt? And part of that is giving them all of what they need and some of what they want. But another big part of that is also building their middle class. And how do you build their middle class? Well, you create industries that hire skilled labor, and the film industry is one of them.
And it's already all there. There's nothing left. Not much. In Hollywood.
Yeah, well, this is true.
Here's a funny anecdote he had about the movie Point Break. They did a remake of that movie of Point Break, but a little interesting tidbit on how much control the CCP has over the storyline even.
Point Break is another one, right, where we did the remake, and there was a scene in that movie where we were going to open up the film with a cold open, which is always that high action sort of impact, 3 minutes that gets you right into the movie. And it was going to take place in Shanghai, and it was going to take place in a building way up, like on the top floor of one of those massive buildings in the Pudong district. And it was a diamond store, a diamond showcase center, and these motorcycles were driving through. They got on the elevator and they started taking all the diamonds, and then they drove out the building up on the 100th floor, and they had parachutes, and they were supposed to take the diamonds with them. But because they're sort of Robin Hood characters, they were going to spread the diamonds all over, the city from the air. And then all the Chinese were supposed to pick up the diamonds because the Robin Hood effort, won over the rich diamond dealers or whatever. But the Chinese government said, you can't do that.
I was going to say this. I'm sure that one didn't go over very, very well.
They said, well, number one is our police would have caught them. And number two is the Chinese people would not pick up diamonds that weren't theirs. So this does not make sense.
That might actually be true.
I
controlled.
don't think so.
We need to help the Chinese people. We need to tell them what's going on. I don't know if they
pick up a diamond if you see it laying around.
That's our tip of the day. Our anti-CCP tip of the day. If you see a diamond laying around, go ahead, pick it up. It's okay. Tell them. It's the little
subtlety. It's the little subtlety that's got to drive these guys nuts, which is that our police wouldn't let that happen.
Right.
When you compare it to our storytelling mechanism, just on TV, for example, let's examine the show NCIS Los Angeles, where there are bombings and shootings and car chases and explosions all over the place by these NCIS people, and no local cop ever shows up. Our police in Los Angeles don't give a crap.
It's so predictable, but the cops are just going to walk. They're going to leave. People are going to find other things to do.
Oh, I think this is we're going to have a policing problem in this country.
Major.
Thank you, Black Lives Matter.
Major.
Good move. It's a Marxist idea.
Yeah. Major problem. I mean, once you even just talk about defunding, it's over. It's over. Who wants that job? It's very, very sad. But okay.
So I have a couple of things to end with.
Please.
I thought this would. I'm going to get to one of some. I got one short Kaylee one. Let's get it out of the way. She's bitching and moaning because she did a press conference early in the week where all they asked her was about the Confederate flag. Because Trump tweeted something stupid. And
see, this is what Trump does that will make people vote for Kanye. It's this kind of shit that drives people crazy.
No, nobody's voting. Okay, you can think that all you want. But this is a classic. She didn't have a setup. She didn't have any target, but she did have a classic close and walk with them yelling at her.
on ventilators and having ventilators that we were able to deploy around the world and help other countries. So that's what I would have to say on COVID. And finally, I'd end with this. I was asked probably 12 questions about the Confederate flag. This president's focused on action, and I'm a little dismayed that I didn't receive one question on the deaths that we got in this country this weekend. I didn't receive one question about New York City shootings doubling for the third straight week, and over the last 7 days, shootings skyrocket by 142%. Not one question. I didn't receive one question about 5 children who were killed. And I'll leave you with this remark by a dad. It broke my heart. A dad of an 8-year-old lost in Atlanta this weekend. They say Black Lives Matters. You killed a child. She didn't do nothing to nobody, was his quote. We need to be focused on securing our streets, making sure no lives are lost, because all Black lives matter. That of David Dorn and that of this 8-year-old girl. Thank you.
Haley, we're glad to ask you a ton more questions. We welcome you back. We'll ask you all those topics.
Wow. Wow. That was what's going on with her?
She's irked. That's her job. She's irked. She's smiley. She's different. Sarah Sanders is not much different in the way they approach these things, except Sarah always had this grouchy look on her face. She never smiled. When she did, it was rare, and it wasn't part of it. And she wasn't the cute, bubbly blonde. So the cute, bubbly blonde comes on, and she's smiling, and she knows everyone's name. And then at the end, she turns on the group and just yells at them for not doing their job correctly.
Which is why we love
just a
her.
Fantastic
which is
act.
Why we write songs about her.
Kaylee, you will never say you're sorry. Kaylee, you and the media will never be friends. Drop your mic and don't pretend that this press conference came to a natural end.
May we have her around long time, but I don't know. I'm worried for her future.
Oh, she's fine.
Says you.
I think so. So I got 2 other clips.
All right.
Just a news clip. This is the Saint Sophia. This is a major story that they're playing on. They played it on CBS, so I guess they're picking it up on a national level. But when we talked about the Pope earlier, then this happened. I'm thinking, something's...
Yeah. This is another piece of the puzzle in the new Dan Brown novel.
And I have 2 of them. One is that starts with lowercase. I think is the real clip. The other one is an empty file.
Okay.
The World Council of Churches expressed dismay today following a decision by Turkey's president to convert one of the country's most famous landmarks from a museum into a mosque. The Hagia Sophia in Istanbul was built 1,500 years ago as an Orthodox cathedral. CBS's Holly Williams is there.
For nearly 90 years, Hagia Sophia has been a museum, built as a cathedral for Christians, later becoming a mosque for Muslims. But modern Turkey's founder, Kemal Ataturk, wanted it to be a monument for everyone. Now, Turkey's current leader, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has announced it'll be converted back into a mosque, delighting his devout supporters who celebrated outside Hagia Sophia, chanting, "God is great." But the decision horrifies those like Nobel Prize-winning author Orhan Pamuk, who want their country to remain a place where politics and religion are kept separate.
There are millions of secular Turks like me who are crying against this, but their voices are not heard because we don't have enough free speech and democracy in Turkey, unfortunately, anymore.
Hagia Sophia was built as a cathedral around 1,500 years ago, when this city, now known as Istanbul, was ruled by the Christian Byzantine Empire. Then, nearly 600 years ago, it became a mosque, when the city was conquered by the Muslim Ottoman Empire.
In modern-day Turkey, the religious and the secular rub shoulders, often surprisingly, sometimes uncomfortably. The decision to convert Hagia Sophia back into a mosque has been criticized by Christian leaders, and U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo warned against it.
When I hear this report, I am so happy that the state of Texas is lowering marijuana to a second-class drug. This is crazy. This is real Ottoman Empire, Vatican shit. This is, like Crusaders.
There's something going on.
Yeah.
I've been to this place.
You think? Oh, you've been there. Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, tell me.
It is unbelievable. This thing was built in like 500, and it is so big. It's absolutely impossible to believe that this was built, that it was built during that era. It's a gorgeous facility. The other thing is there's another famous mosque called the Blue Mosque that serves the purpose. I don't know why they're switching this back. It was originally a Eastern Orthodox church, the massive church. I mean, you have to go visit this thing to imagine how monstrous it is. And then, of course, the Ottoman Empire took it over and turned it into a mosque, and it works as a mosque.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean?
Turn it back into a mosque.
It works as a mosque. I mean,
it looks like a mosque.
Don't they need to change something? No conversion? They just hang a different sign on the outside. What's the deal? Take the cross down?
Well, if you go in the thing, it's pretty mosque-y already.
Okay.
Although there are some imagery in there, which I don't know what they're going to do about that.
Didn't they paint over the fresco? Yeah, they're going to paint over the frescoes. This is not.
They have to do that cool. Because they have this. The frescoes are nice. They're gorgeous.
Well, that's done.
It's a fabulous place that I don't understand why they're politicizing it. Something else is going on. We have to assume.
End of times.
End of times. Yeah, well, it could be. Now, the last clip I have is an irksome clip.
As opposed to this. As opposed to this. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's pretty bad, too.
Yeah, it's up there.
Now, this is the pro sports team names and all these names. They're trying to change all these names. This is a good story because it brings in an element that I do want to discuss before we quit the show, which is the notion that putting any sort of makeup on is akin to blackface. And we have to remember that blackface is a specific insult and appropriation based on the minstrel era. It's got nothing to do with painting your face at a football game red or blue or green or anything like that at all. But in this case, no, everything's going to be equated to blackface.
Long time there have been calls for certain pro sports teams to change names that many view as racist. Change has been slow to come by, but there is now a renewed debate. Frank Morris with member station KCUR reports on what makes this moment different.
Lots of Native Americans loathe the name of Washington's NFL team, the Redskins.
Yeah, it's a dictionary-defined racial slur. Full stop.
Crystal Echohawk, who heads the advocacy group Illuminative, says a 30-year stalemate with the team suddenly broke when Washington's corporate sponsors demanded a new name, and the team agreed to consider it.
What changed was the murder of George Floyd, and it changed everything in this country.
And that includes customer preferences. Just this week, Walmart and Amazon joined others and stopped selling the team's merchandise. Mike Lewis, a marketing professor at Emory University, says the Washington team name now has become more of a burden than a benefit. And he says it's just the beginning.
The Indians second, the Chiefs probably third. The Braves and the Blackhawks don't take a lot of heat for whatever reason. But at this point, I think all sorts of team names are now in play.
The Cleveland Indians have launched a formal name review. That leaves primarily the Kansas City Chiefs, the Atlanta Braves, and the Chicago Blackhawks hockey team. The three teams all claim to venerate Native Americans. Crystal Echohawk says the names Braves, Blackhawks, and Chiefs alone are not racial slurs, but they do carry heavy baggage.
It's the imagery that gets associated with those names. It's the racist fan behavior when a fan paints their face red. That is blackface. Blackface is wrong. I think most people in this country get that now.
All right.
If you paint your face red, that's blackface? No, that's red face.
Well,
now all of a sudden, blackface is generic.
Yeah, it's a concept now.
And that's not okay.
No.
By the way, you paint your face blue? That's not okay.
It's problematic.
That's blackface.
It's problematic.
You're the one that banned that word?
No, I didn't ban it. I said you got to look out for it, and now we use it as like a rim shot.
You're using it, yes. Well, you're using it.
I'm overusing the rim shot.
I decided not to ever use it, but you're using it now. I'm feeling obliged to go back to using it.
Okay, then
I used to use it all the time.
No, I'll slow down, but it still should only be a rim shot for us. It shouldn't be. We actually mean that.
I'd rather have a real rim shot.
We can't normalize that rim shot. Well, I guess at the beginning of the games, when we have flybys of F-15s with Tomahawk missiles attached, that'll be okay. And maybe the Chinook helicopter, or maybe the Black Hawk, maybe those will fly over. I mean, come on, where does it? Well, now I sound like an AM radio talk show guy. Come on, where does it end? Boomer. Where does it end? Yeah, okay, boomer. Well, it ends only with things that hurt Trump, or that we can spin to hurt Trump. Or filling your local politician anywhere, because this is not just taking place here. Boris Johnson has it. Many other countries.
Bolsonaro's got it worse than any of them.
Bolsonaro. Yeah, it's a great time to be a podcaster. That's all I can say. Very, very proud of.
With your own network to distribute yourself without having to go through Podbean or any of these operations going, we don't think your podcast is suitable anymore.
Grumpy Old Benz is next with Dame Carolyn Blaney on the Iron Stick. So you can check that out on noagendastream.com. End of show mixes, some fun ones. We have, let's see, Jesse Coy Nelson. We have very nice work from Professor Jones. And Rolando Gonzalez checks in with his 15th mix. And we will be back on Thursday. Coming to you from the mouth of the rats here in the Sunshine State. Florida, United States of America. I'm not quite sure what the FEMA region is, but I hope to get out soon anyway. It's the hot spot. That's where we are. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where during the show, there were 6 motorcycle runs that shut down the freeway. One of them massive. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday right here on No Agenda. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos, and such.
According to our new ABC News poll with Ipsos, 9 out of 10 Americans say they've worn a mask in public in the last week.
Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
But there's some partisan divide.
You said as late as March 31st, there was no consensus on wearing masks.
Let me explain to you what happened back then.
That's what it's all about.
But in general, if someone is well enough to be out in public, they're medically well enough to put some kind of face covering or mask on.
So you can see, here, nobody's wearing them. Nobody's, there you go, including the camera. Yeah.
An off-duty officer was seen body slamming a woman at a Walmart when she allegedly refused to wear a mask.
Face masks have become a little more than a fashion statement, a symbol of submission, or their virtue signaling. They're showing that they're a good citizen, they obey the instructions that come from the TV.
Okay, we're going to play that game.
Who has the Rona in your neighborhood? Asymptomatic, so that's just no good. Say who wants a vaccine in your neighborhood? Young people are the sheep today. Is the lockdown still annoying you? We completed phases 1 and 2. Wear a mask and drive your car, and visit all your friends in bars. If the cases are spreading in your neighborhood, Fauci said it would. Stay at home, you should now. Kids are super spreaders in your neighborhood, so take our new vaccine today. Still riding high in this first wave, not going back to normal slaves. You have a duty now to us. Hop along the COVID bus, 'cause the program is coming to your neighborhood, propagating good keep profits looking good. The program is essential in your neighborhood. Just go back to sleep. Dr. Gates will brand you sheep. Get the passport of our dreams today.
So if you are not coming to the people's defense, then go challenge us when young people and other people who are frustrated and instigated by the people you pay. You are paying instigators to be among our people out there throwing rocks, breaking windows, and burning down buildings. And so young people are responding to that. They are enraged, and there's an easy way to stop it. Arrest the cops. Charge the cops. Charge all the cops. Not just some of them, not just here in Minneapolis. Charge them in every city across America where our people are being murdered. Charge them everywhere. That's the bottom line. Charge the cops. Do your job. Do what you say this country is supposed to be about, the land of the free for all. It has not been free for black people, and we are tired. Don't talk to us about looting. Y'all are the looters. America has looted black people. America looted the Native Americans when they first came here. So looting is what you do. We learned it from you. We learned violence from you. We learned violence from you. The violence was what we learned from you. So if you want us to do better, then damn it, you do better.
If I say all lives matter, I'm a racist. If I stand for my flag, I have to apologize for it. I'm not allowed to go to church, but I can burn churches to the ground. I'm not allowed to open my own business, but I can go loot and destroy other people's businesses. If I wear a badge, have a gun, and I'm dressed in blue, I'm a racist pig. But if I walk around destroying my city with bricks and masks, I'm considered a peaceful protester. I'm not allowed to peacefully protest the lockdown at my capital, but I can go destroy and graffiti my capital. I'm not allowed to go to the park to play t-ball with my family, but I can destroy the park. I'm not allowed to protect our historical monuments and history, but I can go tear them down and have them laid on top of people. I'm not allowed to have an opinion on racial matters because I'm white, but if I don't have an opinion on it, I'm the reason why people are oppressed. I can go riot in the streets with a BLM, but if I go to a Trump rally, COVID-19 magically appears. Does anyone else not see the hypocrisy in all of this? I'm done with your bullshit.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Sizzle, pork, and
I'm going to give you the whole load today.